Chapter 173. The Imperial Edict is here. Governor Donglai, why don't you accept it? In the Qingzhou provincial governor's mansion, an eunuch came to announce the Imperial Edict. He acted arrogantly along the way. When he saw Fang Qingshan, he raised his head proudly and gestured for Fang Qingshan to set up an incense table, take a bath, and burn incense before respectfully accepting the edict. How dare you? Before Fang Qingshan could speak, Dian Wei, Guan Yu, and the others roared at the same time. Their words were like a bolt from the blue, making the eunuch see stars. If it weren't for the bad reputation of killing the eunuch, they wouldn't have lowered their status. That roar alone could have killed him. The eunuch had thought that he could intimidate the emperor, but he didn't expect that he would only gain the upper hand. After being roared at by Dian Wei, he immediately lost his courage. Covered in cold sweat, his body trembled, and his face turned pale. Humph! Seeing the eunuch's appearance, Dian Wei snorted. He took a step forward, snatched the imperial edict, and handed it to Fang Qingshan. Not to mention Guan Yu and the others. Even Shi Zhicai, Guijia, and Sun Qian turned a blind eye to this scene. For them, they only knew their master, but not the emperor. Fang Qingshan took the imperial edict and couldn't help but chuckle. I can wear out iron shoes in fruitless search, only to find it by chance. Fang Qingshan originally wanted to develop his strength as much as possible before Dong Zhuo took over the government. Once the world changed, he could sweep away the fallen leaves in autumn and gain an absolute advantage at the fastest speed. Therefore, after incorporating the yellow turban in Jizhou, Fang Qingshan didn't bring all of them back. Instead, he kept Guanhai and Zhanghe. Now that the imperial court had appointed him as the provincial governor of Yuzhou, wasn't it like having a pillow when he wanted to sleep? He could legitimately control the military and political power of a state. Fang Qingshan passed down the imperial edict. When Shi Zhicai and the others saw it, they all revealed expressions of joy and bowed in unison. Congratulations, my lord. Congratulations, my lord. Since the imperial court has appointed me as the provincial governor of Yuzhou, I have to make a good plan next. Fang Qingshan said with a smile. Second brother, third brother, let's go back to the old place. You will lead the team this time. Guo Jia will be the military counselor and take over the military power of Yuzhou province. Yes, sir. Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, and Guo Jia answered in unison. As for Qingzhou, I'll leave it to Zhicai. Yes, sir. In front of the little yellow gate, they didn't hide their plans at all. That was because Fang Qingshan was not afraid of the imperial court at all. His strength was his source of confidence. Moreover, if the eunuchs were smart, it would be best to avoid the important and dwell on the trivial when they went back. Otherwise, the angry emperor could kill them at any time. After all, they could not do anything to Fang Qingshan, so the eunuchs were a good target to vent their anger on. As expected, although the eunuchs were domineering, those who could live in the imperial palace were definitely not brainless. Seeing that Fang Qingshan and the others were so unscrupulous, their eyes were full of fear. However, they didn't show it. They just lowered their heads and wished that there was a hole in the ground to hide in, so that people could not see or hear anything. After the imperial court appeased Fang Qingshan, they originally wanted to send Huang Pusong to take over Qingzhou province to remove Fang Qingshan's mark and return the place to the emperor. Unfortunately, the plan could not keep up with the changes. Before Huang Pusong left the capital city, a rebellion broke out in Liangzhou. Therefore, they urgently sent him to suppress the rebellion, leaving the position of the provincial governor of Qingzhou vacant again. Fang Qingshan didn't care about this at all. Now that Qingzhou had been occupied by him, he would never spit out what he had eaten. No matter who came to Qingzhou, it would be good if they were tactful, because it was just a figurehead. If they were not tactful, then this would be their burial place. Right now, his main focus was on Jizhou and Yuzhou. Like in history, Jizhou was still in the hands of Han Fu. She was a disciple of the Yuan family and had a good relationship with them. Fang Qingshan sent Sun Qian over and had him cooperate with Zhang He and Guanhai to subtly encircle the cities from the rural areas. Although Yuzhou didn't have Lu Yu, it still had Gongsun Zan. This person had outstanding military exploits and was also unruly like all generals. He was a thorn left by the imperial court in Yuzhou. If nothing unexpected happened, Gongsun was very likely to be as ambitious as in history. He killed the provincial governor Liu Yu and held the imperial court's envoy hostage. He was authorized to govern the 4 northern provinces and became one of the most powerful feudal lords in the north. Unfortunately, everything changed after Fang Qingshan entered Yuzhou. At the end of the day, Fang Qingshan still had some kinship with him. Moreover, if he wanted to completely control Yuzhou, Gongsun was an unavoidable obstacle. Therefore, the first thing Fang Qingshan did after entering Yuzhou was enter the camp of the White Horse Righteous Army alone. Without any nonsense, he went straight to the point. With his strength alone, he suppressed Gongsun to the point where the White Horse Righteous Army couldn't even fight back. He couldn't say that he had completely subdued Gongsun, but at least he had temporarily suppressed him. As for what to do in the future, that was not something that Fang Qingshan had to consider. The reason why he had come personally, other than because of his kinship with Gongsun, was also because of his great contributions in the battle against the foreign races. The White Horse Righteous Army was also a rare elite troop. While Fang Qingshan was making arrangements for Yuzhou and Jizhou and recuperating, the imperial court was in trouble. First, there was the rebellion in Liangzhou, followed by the spirit emperor's serious illness and death. These were the feuds that caused the complete collapse of the Great Han dynasty. The civil and military officials, relatives, and eunuchs fought and schemed against each other. First, it was Great General He Jin who wanted to kill the eunuchs and summon Dong Zhuo to the capital to threaten the Empress Dowager. Then, Shi Changshi made the first move and conspired to summon Great General He Jin to kill him in the palace. This was like poking a hornet's nest. Everything was in chaos. With He Jin's death, Yuan Shao and the other generals led troops into the palace to purge the emperor's side and kill the eunuchs. Zhang Rang and the others naturally wouldn't just sit and wait. They seized young Emperor Liu Bian and Prince Liu Xie and escaped. Coincidentally, Dong Zhuo entered the capital. This was a heaven-sent opportunity. Under Li Ru's plan, he seized the emperor and took control of the central government, shaking the world. In troubled times, political power naturally came from the barrel of a gun. Just like that, the imperial court fell into Dong Zhuo's hands. During this time, Ding Yuan entered the capital. Red Hair and Lu Bu also entered the big picture for the first time. Dong Zhuo carried out the Huaguang affair, deposed the emperor, and killed Empress Dowager He. His power was unparalleled. Yuan Shao and the other aristocratic families, who had failed in the coup, were naturally unwilling to accept their failure. Thus, Cao Cao assassinated Dong Zhuo. Yuan Shao and the others raised their troops and marched to Luoyang under the banner of purging the emperor's side and killing Dong Zhuo. Although Cao Cao and the others sent invitations to Fang Qingshan completely ignored them. He wanted Dong Zhuo and the 18 feudal vassals to suffer heavy losses so that he could reap the benefits. Why would he join in? While the feudal vassals were attacking Dong Zhuo, Fang Qingshan was also making arrangements. Once both sides suffered heavy losses, Fang Qingshan would send his troops to Shuzhou, Pingzhou, and Jizhou. He would take control of the 5 northern provinces and half of the country. Chapter 174. The Yuan clan had 4 generations and 3 dukes. Their reputation spread far and wide. Yuan Shao issued a declaration in the name of the Yuan clan, summoning all the heroes in the world to attack Dong Zhuo. In an instant, all the heroes responded and the 18 feudal lords gathered. Although Gongsun and Kong Rong, the governor of North Sea, had disappeared because of Fang Qingshan, the governor of Jing province, Liu Biao, and the governor of Yi province, Liu Yin, had joined them. Together with the rear general, Yuan Shu, the governor of Nanyang, Han Fu, the governor of Ji prefecture, Kong Lian, the governor of Yu prefecture, Liu Dai, the governor of Yin prefecture, Wang Quang, the governor of Hanoi prefecture, Zhang Miao, the governor of Qinlu prefecture, Qiao Mao, the governor of Dong prefecture, Yuan Yi, the governor of Shanyang Prefecture, Bao Exant, the prime minister of Jibei, Zhang Chao, the governor of Guangling Prefecture, Zhang Yang, the governor of Shandong Prefecture, Sun Jian, the governor of Wuqing Prefecture, Sun Shao, the governor of Qishan Prefecture, Yuan Shao, the governor of Bohai Prefecture, Chao Chao, the governor of Shaoqi Prefecture, Ma Teng, the governor of Shiliang Prefecture, and Tao Qian, the governor of Shuzhou. Although Gongsun Zan was gone, Liu Bei still came with 3 brothers. Without Guan Yu and Zhang Fei, there were Chun Ji and Wei Yan. Of the 18 feudal vassals, some brought thousands of soldiers and horses, while some had over 10,000. Gathered together, there were at least hundreds of thousands of them. At a rough glance, the camp stretched for dozens of li. The soldiers and horses were strong, and the generals were as numerous as the clouds. With Yuan Shao as the alliance leader, they marched to the Sea River Pass. Dong Zhuo appointed Hua Xiong as the Shaoqi chaplain to guard the Sea River Pass. Without Guan Yu, Hua Xiong didn't die so pitifully. First Bao Zhong, then Yu Shi, and Pan Feng, but none of them were Hua Xiong's match. The allied army had a bad start and suffered consecutive defeats. With low morale, one of the feudal lords, Sun Jian, asked to join the battle. The fierce tiger of River East was not to be underestimated. Not to mention his own strength, he also had Huang Gai and the other generals under him. Unfortunately, he was not afraid of a godlike opponent, but he was afraid of a pig-like teammate. Sun Jian didn't lose to Hua Xiong directly, but because of Yuan Shu's selfishness, the army suffered a crushing defeat due to a lack of provisions. Zhu Mao died in battle. Cheng Pu, Huang Gai, and Han Dang were seriously injured, and even Sun Jian almost died. Yuan Shao couldn't sit still anymore. 4 generations of feudal lords, 3 generations of feudal lords, 4 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 generations of feudal lords. Thus, there was Yin Liang versus Hua Xiong. Although Yin Liang didn't have Guan Yu's 3 all-out attacks, Hua Xiong had still underestimated his opponent because of his consecutive victories. Sure enough, one's personality determined one's fate, and in the end, he died at Yin Liang's hands. As soon as Hua Xiong died, the soldiers of the Sea River Pass were like birds startled by the mere twang of a bowstring. They repeatedly sent out orders to Luoyang to ask for help. At the same time, they hung up the no battle sign, relying on the high and thick city walls to defend the pass. When Yuan Shao and the others saw that this was not going to work, they split into 2 groups. One group continued to attack the Jishui Pass, while the other went to Hulao Pass. The inertia of history had made Lu Bu famous in the battle at Hulao Pass. Be it Yuan Shao's subordinates, Yin Liang and Wen Chou, Yuan Shu's Ji Ling, Sun Jian, Chao Chao Xiahou Yuan, and the others, none of them were a match for him in a one-on-one fight, or even in a battle of attrition. In the end, Yin Liang, Wen Chou, Ji Ling, Sun Jian, Xiahou Yuan, and the others had no choice but to join forces to defeat Lu Bu. While the world was watching the battle at Hulao Pass, Yu, Qing, Ji, Bing, and Su provinces had all been fortified under Fang Qingshan's schemes. Some of them had been infiltrated to the point where they could be destroyed with a flick of a finger. After Fang Qingshan had killed Zhang Jiao and his 2 brothers, he had taken control of Qingzhou, Yuzhou, and the Central Plains in the south. Things were no longer the same as when he was in Donglai County. His call for talents had indeed attracted many talents. The civil officials included Lu Su, Zhang Shao, Ma Liang, Tian Chou, and others. The military officials included Zhao Yun, Gan Ning, Zhou Tai, Wu Anghua, and others. There were also some special talents such as Hua, Ma Jun, and others. With their help, Fang Qingshan was able to easily take over the 5 northern provinces when the vassals fought at Hulao Pass. Fang Qingshan had Chu Zhicai and Guo Jia as his left and right strategists, Zhang Shao as his chief historian, and Lu Su, Ma Liang, Tian Chou, and Sun Qian as his deputies. He also had Guan Yu guard Bing province, Zhao Yun and Zhou Tsang as his deputies, Zhongfei guard Yu Province, Zhou Tai and Eugene as his deputies, Taisher Ci guard Qing Province, Wuanghua and Gan Ning as his deputies, Huangzhong guard Su Province, Guanhai, and Zhang Ba as his deputies, Gong Sunzan guard Ji Province, and Zhang He as his deputy. Dianwei led the all-celestial army and followed beside Fang Qingshan. While the 18 feudal vassals in Dongjua were fighting fiercely, Fang Qingshan had taken the 5 northern prefectures into his pocket. At the same time, he had sealed off all officials to prevent the news from leaking out. At the very least, he had to wait until Yuan Shao and the others had won before he could let them know. In addition, he had Guan Yu and Zhang Fei send their troops out of Bing Province and Yu Province to suppress the foreign tribes. Firstly, it was to train the troops. Secondly, it was to weaken the strength of the Xinbei, Xiongnu, and the others. Thirdly, it was to deter them so that they would not dare to cause trouble while he was cleaning up his territory. Time passed bit by bit as the wheel of history rolled on. After Hulao Pass was breached, Dongjua followed Li Ru's suggestion to burn down Luoyang and move the capital to Chang, and imitating the story of the Qin dynasty. It was a brilliant plan. The 18 vassals were indeed strange bedfellows. Cao Cao lost to Dongjua, and Sun Jian immediately fled after obtaining the heirloom seal. In an instant, the illustrious alliance fell apart. However, man proposes, God disposes. Although Li Ru's plan was good, Dongjua had changed. His original ambition and strategy were all gone, leaving only an old man waiting to die. At this time, the news that Fang Qingshan had taken over the 5 northern provinces in one fell swoop and shocked the foreign tribes. The world was in an uproar. Unfortunately, it was too late. Their path of retreat had been cut off, and both sides had suffered heavy losses. Fang Qingshan had been waiting for this day for a long time. He sent Taisher Ci and Gan Ning to lead the navy that had been built long ago and attack Yangzhou by sea. Apart from leaving a general and a certain number of troops in Yu and Bing, Fang Qingshan sent out the rest. His troops were sent to Yangzhou, Xian, Sili, and Yong, and Liang, Yi, and Jiao. Although the vassals had many talented subordinates, they couldn't compare to Fang Qingshan. He'd recruited hundreds of thousands of Yellow Turban Army soldiers and trained hundreds of thousands himself, adding on the Xiongnu and Xinbei troops that he'd sent out to intimidate the foreign tribes. He'd gathered hundreds of thousands, 1 million soldiers and horses. They were strong and well-trained, and they were led by generals. They had ample rations and fodder. They did not play any tricks and directly swept through. Although Yu Ji, Zhang Lu, Zhui Ci, and the others had besieged and ambushed him, with Fang Qingshan's current cultivation base and the few supreme treasures he possessed, these people were naturally unable to return. Apart from increasing Fang Qingshan's foundation, they had no effect at all. After the feudal vassals attacked Dong, within half a year, Fang Qingshan unified the mountains and rivers with the strength of the 5 northern provinces. Not only did he integrate the original strength of the Great Han Dynasty, he also expanding his territory. Chapter 175. Luoyang, Imperial Palace, Observatory. Fang Qingshan stood with his hand on the railing and looked down at the world. It was a scene of singing and dancing. Although the world had just calmed down, the beginning of peace and prosperity had already appeared. On the surface, it was bustling with activity, but what Fang Qingshan saw was the world. This wasn't / seeing the whole leopard from one spot, but really seeing the world. After unifying the world, the first thing Fang Qingshan did was not to grant amnesty to the people, restore the people / its livelihood, or anything else, but to build temples throughout the country. However, there would definitely be a big temple in every prefecture, a middle temple in every county, and a small temple in every village. And the one worshipped in these temples was not the Taoist Sanqing, nor was it the second ancestor of Buddhism. Instead, it was Fang Qingshan. When this matter was first raised, apart from the people of Qingzhou, the world was in an uproar. There were many people who submitted petitions to remonstrate. Unfortunately, Fang Qingshan was stubborn, and no objections were effective. The reason why he came to the three countries was to collect providence. Unifying the three countries was just a side goal. It was just to collect providence better. Imitating the Bodhisattva heavenly venerate and building temples to worship him was naturally the best choice. With Fang Qingshan's absolute strength, it was only natural for him to complete this magnificent feat. This was because there were temples for Fang Qingshan from the big prefectures to the small villages that worshipped him. Through these temples, Fang Qingshan could monitor the world. Through these temples, Fang Qingshan could clearly see white providence gathering from the heads of millions of people to the top of Fang Qingshan's head. In the end, it turned into a golden color and fell into the chessboard of the heavens. It was dense purple and transformed into a dragon. The dragon flew in the sky, majestic and extremely dignified. Of course, along with providence came many distracting thoughts. They prayed for children, peace, a good harvest, promotion and wealth, and pies falling from the sky. Incense was poisonous, and these were the bad side of incense. Once these thoughts contaminated the spirit, it would be big trouble. Of course, these wishes, as long as these impurities were removed, were also great treasures. Not to mention other worlds. In the immortal world, emergent sect, astral sect, and other major sects, there were tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of people in their small worlds dedicated to providing wish power. Fanghan /S method of opening the second sea of knowledge required this wish power. Fortunately, Fang Qingshan had treasures such as the world chessboard and the world tree, which could purify these incense into harmless wish power. In addition to providence and wish power, the greatest benefit of Fang Qingshan unified the world was the Han Dynasty /S 400 years of accumulation. There were two Dao artifacts. One of them was the dragon-slaying sword that Gaozu used to slay the white snake. Like the 9-section staff, it was a low-grade Dao artifact. There was another high-grade Dao artifact that was comparable to the pure Yang flying sword. It was the Imperial Jade Seal. Unfortunately, this treasure was a treasure of providence. Once it left the world of the three kingdoms, its grade would drop. In addition, heavenly materials and earthly treasures, elixirs and medicines were piled up like mountains. After getting so many good treasures, Fang Qingshan naturally had to go into seclusion to digest them. Fang Qingshan first took out various heavenly treasures of the 5 elements. He was going to cultivate the great 5 elements, exterminating God Needle to the great perfection first, so that his foundation would be more solid. Meteorite, millennium cold iron, volcanic lava, 10,000-year mysterious ice, stone fire, water fire, 10,000-year tree heart, earth dragon root, mountain pearl. The chessboard enveloped the secret room. Fang Qingshan sat on a futon, concentrating and calming. In front of him, there were all kinds of heavenly materials and earthly treasures of the 5 elements. At a certain moment, Fang Qingshan opened his mouth and spat out countless magical powers that wrapped around these treasures, refining them into 5 elements essence chi. Apart from these heavenly materials and earthly treasures, Fang Qingshan had also destroyed the golden elixirs and dharma form of Zhusi and the others when he unified the world. The 5 elements divine power in the dharma form was also shattered by Fang Qingshan and turned into the essence of the 5 elements, which was continuously absorbed by Fang Qingshan's 5 elements divine power, such as the 5 elements divine power, such as the 5 elements divine power. Fang Qingshan /S 5 elements magical power had already been cultivated to a certain level. His own realm was also enough. Now there was so much 5 elements essence to supplement him. Then the great 5 elements exterminating God Needle and 5 elements thunder could be seen to be perfected at a speed visible to the naked eye. As a great amount of essence of the 5 elements fused into the runes, wisps of bone-destroying, soul-destroying, razor-sharp 5 elements divine needles and 5 elements divine thunder, which could kill demons and kill demons, were condensed. After more than half of the 5 elements treasures had been absorbed, a colorful cloud of the 5 elements gathered above Fang Qingshan's head. It either turned into streams of light that were as fast as lightning, or turned into colorful needles that sent chills down one's spine, or turned into bolts of lightning that struck fear into one's heart. It's time to break through to the golden elixir realm. Fang Qingshan could not help but secretly nod when he saw this. After cultivating the great 5 elements exterminating God technique and the other 5 elements magical power to perfection, and absorbing the magical powers of Wasi and the others, Fang Qingshan once again sorted out the magical powers in the talisman, leaving only 81 magical powers, reaching a realm of perfection. This time, Fang Qingshan could be said to have made ample preparations to plunder the world. In addition to the accumulation of the former Han dynasty, his cultivation realm was already sufficient. Coupled with the support of the boundless magic power, breaking through was a matter of course for Fang Qingshan. Almost in an instant, Fang Qingshan's talisman changed and turned into a golden pearl. I have a pearl that has been locked in the dust for a long time. Today, when the dust is gone, the light will shine through the mountains and rivers. Fang Qingshan roared to the sky, and his golden core shone brightly. Around him, there were jade ladies holding incense burners, golden boys holding swords, jade rabbits and golden crows playing, black lions and jade elephants running, black cranes and peacocks dancing, Qilin and white apes playing chess, and many other phenomena. At the same time, the golden core retracted its light and swallowed Fang Qingshan. When the golden core was formed, all the magical powers and the body would be tempered. In the end, the body lifespan would be greatly increased, and the magical powers would be more flexible. Tendons and marrows would be changed, and one would be reborn. With a flash of light, Fang Qingshan reappeared. He was wearing a white robe, and his clothes were fluttering. His skin was smooth and jade-like, and there seemed to be a dense aura flowing. In his eyes, there was the sun and the moon rising and falling, as if he could see the mysteries of heaven and earth. His temperament changed again, and he looked like an immortal. At this stage, Fang Qingshan was a small giant, and he clearly felt that his life was infinitely close to 10,000 years. It's almost time. I should also leave here. Breaking through to the golden core and collecting luck, Fang Qingshan could be said to have exceeded his plan. Although it was not time yet, Fang Qingshan still decided to leave because there was not much use in staying. However, before leaving, Fang Qingshan had one more thing to do, and that was to leave a clone to replace him. Otherwise, once he left, the dynasty that he had worked so hard to build would collapse soon, and all his efforts would be in vain. Chapter 176. The sky was dark, the sun and the moon were dark. When Fang Qingshan reappeared in the flesh and blood quagmire, he found that not far away, the wind was surging, the wind was like an arrow, and the tornadoes were rolling in all directions. The wind was howling, ghosts were crying, and gods were howling. After a moment, there was a flash of lightning, as if the world was torn apart, and the clouds disappeared and the rain stopped. What a good 3 disasters and 9 disasters, Black Sun Wind disaster. It seems that your Greater One sect is really used to being domineering. You dare to bully the disciples of my emergent sect in front of me. If I don't show some strength today, how can the disciples of my emergent sect walk the world in the future? Then, Fang Qingshan heard a familiar voice. It was his elder sister, Fang Qingxue. It seems that I made it. Seeing this scene, Fang Qingshan could not help but nod inwardly. His body flickered, and he came close, but he did not immediately appear, but hid. He knew that at this moment, with Fang Qingxue, there was no problem in dealing with a few Greater One sect disciples, although she had not broken through to the Jindan stage. Fang Qingxue, although you are powerful, you have not broken through to the Jindan stage. You don't know the power of the ancient giants. Come at me together. Fang Zheng, you, and Ning Tianqing have joined hand a lot. I want to see if you can withstand the 3 disasters and 9 disasters of my Greater One technique, Zhao Xuani said coldly. You make it sound better than singing. If you had mastered the 3 disasters and 9 disasters, would you still be at your current cultivation base? Not to mention breaking through to longevity, you would at least be at the 10th level of the divine power level and change your fate. Do you still need to talk nonsense with us here? At that time, there will be a place for you to be the sect leader of the Greater One sect. Fang Qingxue sneered. Senior sister, don't talk nonsense with these shameless people. They bully the weak, they bully the few. Since they have done this, don't blame us for retaliating. Fang Han was almost driven into a dead end by the Greater One sect, so he naturally hated Zhao Xuani and the others to the bone. At this moment, with Fang Qingxue's help, he naturally wanted to hit them while they were down. Let's attack together. Since the Greater One sect disciples dared to kill my emergent sect disciples, it's not a big deal for my emergent sect disciples to kill 2 Greater One sect disciples. All right, Qing Shui. Back then, when we first met, we had just broken through to the divine secret realm not long ago, and were able to join forces to suppress the golden elixir rail water demon. Although Zhao Xuani is powerful now, we are not at the same realm as we were back then. As long as we join forces, it will definitely not be a problem to capture all of them in one fell swoop. Ying Tianqing seized every opportunity, wanting to entice Fang Qingxue to join forces and take care of Zhao Xuani and the others of the Greater One sect. Firstly, he wanted to take revenge. After all, the Greater One sect had issued an order to gather all the righteous sects in the world to hunt him down. Although they did not suffer any losses, Ying Tianqing was also the 2nd generation of the Khanate demon sect. When had he ever been in such a sorry state? Secondly, if Fang Qingxue really agreed to join forces with him to deal with the Greater One sect, things would be different once the news got out. At that time, not only could he legitimately pursue Fang Qingxue, but he could also divide the emergent sect and the Greater One sect at the same time, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Presumptuous Fang Qingxue. Do you really want to help the evildoer go against the righteous path and fall into the demonic path? Hearing Ying Tianqing's words, Zhao Xuani's expression suddenly changed. Although he was also a proud son of heaven and had broken through to the golden elixir realm, Fang Qingxue and Ying Tianqing were even more powerful. Fang Qingxue and Ying Tianqing, on the other hand, were even more formidable. He could not do anything to one of them. If the 2 of them were to team up, he and the others would most likely be doomed. Haha, now you know to be afraid. Didn't you send us into the demonic path long ago? Fang Han seized the opportunity to ridicule. Looking at the twisted faces of immortal Lu Ming and the others, Fang Han could not help but vent his anger. That's enough. Fang Qingxue waved her hand. Immortals and demons could not coexist. They had to go through life and death together and deal with the heavenly demon together. If they really wanted to deal with the Greater One sect together, then she might really have to join the demonic path. The emergent sect would not protect her, and if the Greater One sect was determined, even the demonic path would not be able to protect her. Ying Tianqing, leave. Immortals and demons cannot coexist. We're not on the same side. The Greater One sect bullied the disciples of the emergent sect and my family. I will naturally seek justice. I don't need your help. Alas, what a pity. Seeing that Fang Qingxue was resolute, Ying Tianqing also knew that he could not do anything inside. He did not know whether it was because he could not kill immortal Lu Ming and the others, or because he could not further improve his relationship with Fang Qingxue. In that case, the mountains are high and the rivers are long. We will meet again. With that, Ying Tianqing's body turned into a shadow and was about to leave. If you want to leave? Have you asked me? Seeing that Fang Qingxue did not agree to join forces with Ying Tianqing, Zhao Xuani could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. Even if Fang Qingxue and Ying Tianqing joined forces to kill him, they would not have a good time in the end. The Greater One sect would definitely avenge him. After all, Zhao Xuani's status in the Greater One sect was equivalent to the status of Jianan and the others in the emergent sect. But even if he took revenge, even if he killed the 2 of them, so what? He was already dead. Fortunately, Fang Qingxue did not dare to risk universal condemnation. Since they did not dare to join forces, Zhao Xuanyi rose again. He had chased after Ying Tianqing for a long time, so he naturally did not want to let him slip away under his eyes. Seeing that Ying Tianqing turned into a shadow and soared into the sky, Zhao Xuanyi waved his hand without saying a word and shot out 9 dragon-shaped golden lights. They entangled from top to bottom and was about to trap Ying Tianqing within. Exhausted your limited abilities. Seeing this, Ying Tianqing sneered and pulled with both hands. Everyone only saw a blur in front of them, then saw a spatial crack sweep past, and the 9 dragon-shaped golden lights disintegrated on the spot. Fang Qingshan was not unfamiliar with this at all, because he was using the great cutting technique. Seeing that his means had been broken by Ying Tianqing, Zhao Xuanyi took a step forward and was about to continue his attack. Wait a minute, let's first settle the matter of you bullying Fang Han. But he did not know that Fang Qingxue took a step forward and blocked in front of him, saying calmly, Fang Qingxue, you are presumptuous. Are you helping the demonic path? Zhao Xuanyi roared angrily. I'm not Fang Han, don't put labels on me. Is it only your Greater One sect is allowed to bully my emergent sect, and we're not allowed to get back at you? Fang Qingxue said carelessly. You, seeing that Fang Qingxue was blocking in front of him and could only watch Ying Tianqing leave, Zhao Xuanyi was originally furious, but in an instant, he broke into a smile. Seeing this, Fang Qingxue raised her eyebrows. Right at this moment, a wave of scorching hot aura rushed over. A fiery light flashed, and a scorching sun descended. A Taoist could be vaguely seen, and he looked like a deity. He landed on the ground and blocked Ying Tianqing's path. Great sun fire. Seeing this scene, Fang Qingxue and Ying Tianqing muttered to themselves at the same time. At the same time, Fang Qingxue also knew why Zhao Xuanyi had calmed down. It turned out that help had arrived. Chapter 177. He's here. Seeing Song Wei's appearance, Fang Qingshan, who was hiding in the dark, thought to himself. With the appearance of Song Wei, everyone's expression changed, except for Fang Qingxue. Whether it was the Greater One sect who was happy, Ying Xiantian felt troubled, or Fang Han. After all, he was still regarded as a demon by the Greater One sect. Therefore, as long as the Greater One sect was unhappy, he would be happy. If the Greater One sect was happy, he would be unhappy. Fang Qingxue, you're very good. You can see the big picture and not associate with the demon. You're worthy of being a disciple of the immortal Tao. After Song Wei appeared, he did not pay attention to Ying Xiantian, but praised Fang Qingxue. Why is another one coming? Do you think the emergent sect is easy to bully? Unfortunately, Fang Qingxue did not appreciate it and sneered. The Greater One sect and the emergent sect are on the same side. There's no need to talk about bullying the weak. Song Wei waved his hand and said, I'm here to deal with Ying Tianqing. As for the matter of the emergent sect, there will naturally be someone in charge to deal with it. With that, Song Wei cupped his hands at the void and said politely, Senior Brother Hua, please come. As soon as he said this, Fang Qingxue's expression changed, and she secretly felt that something was wrong. Among the disciples of the emergent sect, Fang Qingxue was not afraid of others, including Ling Xiao, Jianan, and the others, but he was very afraid of Hua Tiandu. Not only was his cultivation profound, but he had also obtained the inheritance of venerable Panwu, immortal. His foundation was deep, and his strength in the emergent sect was even more complicated. If nothing went wrong, he would be the future emergent sect master. Fang Qingxue did not expect that even Hua Tiandu would be attracted by Fang Han. Regardless of what Fang Qingxue thought, as Song Wei's voice fell. Boom! With a loud noise, a supreme force broke through the air, and even the nearby Tai Yuan Immortal Mansion shook. In a flash, everyone's vision blurred, and they saw an ordinary-looking scholar in green clothes, like a weak chicken, appear on the spot. Although Hua Tiandu did not appear with drums and gongs, and there was no grand scene of soldiers opening the way, no one present dared to underestimate him. Even Fang Qingshan couldn't help but be shocked when he saw Hua Tiandu. Although Zhang Jiao and Hua Tiandu both had heaven-defying cultivation bases, in his eyes, Hua Tiandu was actually a level higher than Zhang Jiao. Actually, there was nothing strange about this. Although Zhang Jiao had obtained the 3 scrolls of the Tomes of Heaven, the 3 Kingdoms world still restricted the inheritance. Although Zhang Jiao had obtained the 3 scrolls of the immortal world, the 3 Kingdoms was. In addition, Zhang Jiao is just an ordinary person, while Hua Tiandu is the product of the combination of the mysterious tumor in the supreme magic weapon of immortal world and the soul of Hua Tianjun. Hua Tiandu is powerful, but I'm not a pushover. Is Tiandu Fong S, although Tiandu is Dao Golden Core, 9 times 9, 81 types of magical powers, 10,000 methods return to 1. For defense, he had the 5 Cloud Peach Flower Miasma and the 5 Hell King Cauldron. For offense, he had the Firmament Blood, the Dragon Slaying Sword, and the Pure Yang Flying Sword. The World Tree also provided him with a steady stream of vitality. Even if he couldn't defeat Hua Tiandu, it wouldn't be difficult for Fang Qingshan to fight him to a draw. Greetings, Senior Brother Hua. On the battlefield, Fang Qingxue immediately took a step forward when she saw Hua Tiandu appear, bowed, and then spoke first. Senior Brother, you've come the right time. The Greater One sect is bullying the weak with their numbers, and they have wantonly insulted our emergent sect. As the first successor disciple, it is your duty to protect the dignity of the sect. Please, Senior Brother, capture Zhao Xuani and the others. Hearing Fang Qingxue's words, Zhao Xuani, Song Wei, and even perfected Fu remained calm. After all, they knew that Hua Tiandu wouldn't do anything to them. Firstly, it was because of the Greater One sect's prestige. Secondly, it was because Hua Tiandu was very close to the Greater One sect. A small matter like this wasn't enough to make him fall out with her. Yes, in the eyes of Zhao Xuani and the others, what happened just now was just a trivial matter. Sure enough, Hua Tiandu's expression did not change when he heard Fang Qingxue's words. He said lightly, I know the whole story. The root of everything is still you. As he spoke, Hua Tiandu's eyes swept over Fang Han, and an invisible pressure shrouded him. In order to improve your strength, you will do anything. Last time, I warned you disciples of the immortal Dao not to use magic treasures of the devil Dao. I didn't expect you to turn a deaf ear to it. Although Fang Han was not bad, under the pressure of Hua Tiandu, he was on the verge of collapsing and sweating profusely. Seeing this, Fang Qingxue hurriedly stepped in front of Fang Han. Fang Han took the opportunity to take out 2 treasures, and then he breathed a sigh of relief. He pointed at Hua Tiandu's nose and shouted, You are the first successor disciple of the emergent sect. Not only did you side with an outsider, but you also went back on your word. The 10-year agreement has just been set. Seeing that my strength has improved too fast, you actually want to suppress me. I have never seen such a shameless person. No matter what you say, I will investigate the sect on behalf of the sect master. Magic treasures cannot be used. As for Fang Qingshan's words, Hua Tiandu did not care at all. He waved his hand and said, Well, these things can be discussed when we return to the sect. The previous matter with the Greater One sect was just a misunderstanding. How about we let it go? As he spoke, Hua Tiandu turned to Song Wei and Zhao Xuani and asked, As you say, Senior Brother Hua. In this regard, Song Wei and Zhao Xuani naturally had no objection. That's good. Hua Tiandu nodded, and then said to Fang Qingxue and the other 3, When this matter is over, you will immediately return to the emergence sect with me. Although you're the first successor disciple, you are not the sect master. You can't control me. Don't stretch your hands too far. Fang Qingxue said coldly. You know why I want you to go back? Hua Tiandu said lightly, Don't make me do it. Really? I also want to test the quality of the first successor disciple. Although Fang Qingxue was a woman, she was not inferior to men. When she was only in the yin-yang realm, she dared to touch the tiger's whiskers of the demon god's doppelganger. Now that Hua Tiandu was bullying her, she naturally did not flinch. In that case, I will let you give up. Seeing this, Hua Tiandu did not look surprised and said lightly, originally, if the successor disciples of the emergent sect want to compete, they need to go to the heavens punishment platform. But since it is outside, everything is simple. After a pause, Hua Tiandu continued, don't say that I bully you. You, Ying Tianqing, Fang Han, you all come together. If you can break through my hands, I will not care. If you can't, you will go back with me. What do you think? No, Fang Han, just me and Fang Qingxue. Before Fang Qingxue could speak, Ying Tianqing agreed. Hearing this, Fang Qingxue did not hesitate and nodded. Chapter 178. Kill. Since they had already spoken, Fang Qingxue immediately made the first move to gain the upper hand. After all, their opponent was Hua Tiandu, whose cultivation was far above theirs. His foundation was also far superior, and his talent was not inferior to theirs at all. However, Fang Qingxue took a step forward and shook her hand, releasing a ray of lightning. In an instant, it condensed into a talisman, and tens of thousands of light rays appeared. On the talisman was closely connected, giving off a mysterious aura. This was the talisman that Fang Qingxue had created. The lightning bolts on the talisman were interconnected, surrounding an elusive divine power with a trace of fate in the center. As soon as the talisman appeared, an astonishing pressure covered the area. Zhao Xuani and Song Wei's expressions suddenly changed. Although Fang Qingxue hadn't reached the golden core level, it was hard to tell who would win if they were to really fight. Haha, good, Qingxue. Watch me. Seeing Fang Qingxue attack, Ying Tianqing naturally didn't want to fall behind. Collapse of heaven and earth. As soon as he finished speaking, Ying Tianqing rubbed his hands and pointed at Hua Tiandu. Boom! With a loud noise, the space collapsed, and a black hole appeared with Hua Tiandu at the center. Ying Tianqing immediately used 3,000 divine powers. Grand demolition. It's useless. Your cultivation is too low. Unless you use Dao artifacts, you won't be able to escape from me. Facing Fang Qingxue and Ying Tianqing's thunderous attacks, Hua Tiandu remained calm and said lightly. With a thought, circles of cold white light spread out in all directions, directly freezing the space around him. Heavenly cold force. Hua Tiandu unleashed a divine ability that allowed him to hover in midair, completely motionless. Neither the lightning talismans nor the void-shattering talismans could harm him at all. Humph! You think too highly of yourself. Fang Qingxue sneered and turned to Ying Tianqing. Let's attack together. Okay. Ying Tianqing was overjoyed to hear that. Everything is mixed, born of heaven and earth. As soon as Ying Tianqing's voice fell, an unbelievably handsome fiend god walked out of his body step by step. The fiend god chanted an inexplicable spell as he walked. For a moment, an ancient, violent, and murderous aura shook the entire space. Boundless killing intent appeared, as if it wanted to destroy the world and slaughter the world. Of course, this was not a Dharma form. Ying Tianqing was only at the Golden Elixir realm, so how could he have a Dharma form? This was merely a phenomenon brought about by his divine ability. At the same time, Fang Qingxue opened her mouth, and a rune appeared in the air. The word thunder flashed on the rune. Contrary to Ying Tianqing's, the rune Fang Qingxue gave off was a supreme, noble, domineering, and dignified aura. She was like a thunder emperor who wielded heavenly punishment, walking through the mortal realm, subduing demons and devils, rewarding the good and punishing the evil. Originally, Fang Qingxue and Yi Zichen's divine arts should be incompatible, like fire and water. Not to mention fighting together, it would already be good if they didn't fight amongst themselves. However, what was surprising was that as the two unleashed their divine abilities, Ying Tianqing's demon god and Fang Qingxue's thunder emperor did not repel each other. Instead, they seemed to fuse and form an unknown rune divine ability. Dao and demon fusion. Seeing this, Hua Tiandu's expression couldn't help but change. He didn't expect that Ing Tianqing and Yi Zichen could actually achieve the Dao and demon fusion. Humph, although it's a bit amazing, in the face of absolute strength, everything is just a castle in the air. Hua Tiandu snorted coldly, his eyes bursting with a strong crystal light. He rushed out hundreds of feet away, and the magic power around his body rose steadily. Power, 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 Pamu power, destroy everything. Hua Tiandu blasted out a punch. His 9C of consciousness revolved at the same time, and with infinite power, it collided with the joint divine ability of Fang Qingxue and Yi Zichen. Just as they were fighting, Song Wei and Zhao Xuani glanced at each other, and then winked at the 6 spiritual masters on the side. Spiritual Master Fushou, who had long hated Fang Han to the bone, flew out at the same time and surrounded Fang Han. They joined forces to block a divine ability formation, trying to seal and suppress Fang Han. What a good Greater One sect. You actually went back on your word. Seeing that Taoist Master Fushou and the others actually attacked him, Fang Han suddenly became angry. Fortunately, he was not at ease with the people of Greater One sect, so he paid some attention to them. Otherwise, he would have suffered a big loss. We are just helping senior brother Hua to capture you, so that you don't escape. In response to Fang Han's roar, Spiritual Master Fushou and the others replied indifferently. In fact, the reason why they attacked was not because of Fang Han. Their purpose was to beat the grass and scare the snake and create a diversion. Song Wei and Zhao Xuani's wishful thinking was to cooperate with Hua Tiandu to keep Fang Qingxue and the demon commander here. In this way, they would not only achieve their goal of capturing Ing Tianqing, but also make Hua Tiandu completely lean towards Greater One sect, weakening Emergent sect and strengthening Greater One sect at the same time. It could be said to be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. However, Fang Qingxue and Zhao Xuani were indeed God's favored ones. When the 2 of them joined forces, even Hua Tiandu could not take them down in a short time without using magic weapons. Moreover, they knew that Fang Qingxue had the inextinguishable lightning, a peerless Dao weapon. If they wanted to completely destroy them, they had to catch them off guard. Attacking Fang Han was to distract them and give Hua Tiandu a chance to seriously injure them. Then the 2 of them would attack and kill them with 1 blow. As for Fang Han, if they could take him down and take his treasures, Song Wei and Zhao Xuani would gladly accept it. After all, the best magic weapon in their hands was only comparable to Fang Han's. Humph, if you want to suppress me, then let's see who suppresses who. Fang Han also threw caution to the wind. Since Hua Tiandu appeared, Fang Han knew that today would not be a good day, but he was not a person who would sit still and wait for death. Even if he had to escape, he would not let others have an easy time. Deadly All, break for me. Fang Han shook his hand and threw out a silver awl. Without Xie Sangxiong, Fang Han had another deadly awl, which was also a peerless treasure weapon. It was best used to attack and break restriction formations, so it was suitable to be used here. Crack! Sure enough, as soon as the deadly awl appeared, it attacked the weakness of the 6 perfected masters' formation and immediately broke it. Prison Suppressing Pagoda, come out. After breaking the formation, Fang Han immediately took out a 9-story pagoda, which expanded in the wind. In a flash, it reached the sky and the earth, and a devouring power like that of a whale swallowing the ultimate ruins erupted. The sky darkened, and even the light seemed to be sucked in. The 6 perfected masters did not expect Fang Han to be so ferocious. In the face of the 6 of them, he was still able to fight back, and his counterattack was so fierce. They staggered and almost got sucked in. Come in. Before they could stabilize themselves, a dragon claw reached out from the void and slapped at the 6 perfected masters. The 6 of them completely lost the ability to resist, and with 6 whizzing sounds, they were all sucked into the pagoda. Chapter 179. How dare you? Originally, Song Wei and Zhao Xuani sent the 6 spiritual masters to suppress Fang Han in order to distract Fang Qingshua's attention and create an opening for Hua Tiandu to seriously injure them. Then the two of them would send them to the netherworld. Unfortunately, the plan did not change quickly. Just as the two of them were focused on Fang Qingxue, they suddenly heard the exclamation of spiritual master Fu Shou and the others. Looking back, they suddenly became furious. Fang Han, you're courting death. At this moment, Zhao Xuanyi no longer cared about sneaking up on Fang Qingxue. His body flashed and instantly appeared in front of Fang Han. With a shake of his hand, he unleashed the greater one-sex black sun wind disaster. In an instant, the sky and earth changed, an invisible yellow sand swirled. It could blow the sky and earth into darkness, and it could destroy ghosts and gods. It could crack rocks and collapse cliffs, and it could kill people. Not good. Quickly activate the world tree to block the pores. Don't let it get into your body. Yin was shocked when he saw this. Without waiting for Fang Han to activate it, he immediately activated the formation of the underworld painting. It emitted a dusky yellow light that protected Fang Han within it. With Yan's reminder, Fang Han also quickly activated the world tree. Its roots grew and blocked all his pores. Although Fang Qingshan had seized a fragment of the world tree from Haishan, Fang Han still found another fragment of the world tree and bred the world tree again. Because there was the world tree in his body and the diagram of the underworld outside. Although Fang Han's internal organs were turned upside down and his brain was turned into mush, his reaction was fast enough and he did not turn into ashes. What good supreme sect, they really are shameless. Just as Fang Han was wrapped in the black sun wind disaster and was spinning hard like a millstone, trying to break through his defense and obliterate him, a cold voice sounded. Break! Then, there was a flash of lightning and a burst of 5 thunderbolts, immediately sweeping away the black wind. Who is it? Zhao Xian was both shocked and furious to see that his black sun tempest had been easily broken by someone else. Who is it? People from the emergent sect and the Fang family. At this moment, Fang Qingshan no longer hid and came out step by step. Greetings, third young master. When Fang Han saw Fang Qingshan, he was surprised, happy, and worried at the same time. What shocked him was that Fang Qingshan had so easily broken through Zhao Xuanyi's magical power. It should be said that Zhao Xuanyi was the successor disciple of the Jindan stage of the Greater One sect. It seemed that Fang Qingshan's cultivation should not be weaker than Fang Qingshua's. The last time he saw Fang Qingshan, Fang Han could clearly sense his cultivation. This time, he felt like he was looking at Hua Tiandu. How could Fang Han not be shocked? Naturally, they were happy because they now had another helper on their side. Moreover, it was an expert who was even stronger than Fang Qingxue. Their chances of winning had increased. He was still worried about Hua Tiandu. Although Fang Qingshan was powerful and gave him the illusion that he was looking at Hua Tiandu was still the #1 true disciple of emergent sect. He also had the realm of defying the heaven and changing fate. Fang Qingxue and Hua Tiandu joined hands, Dao and Demon as one, but still couldn't do anything to him. He didn't know if Fang Qingshan could change the outcome. Not bad. Fang Han, you are very good. You did not bring shame to the emergent sect and the Fang family. Fang Qingshan first expressed his affirmation to Fang Han, then waved his hand. You stand aside, leave the rest to me. I want to see who can bully the emergent sect, the Fang family, and the Greater One sect. What a big name. In the end, Fang Qingshan directly attacked. But Fang Qingshan flicked his finger, a white light flashed, and a sword light shone across the 14 provinces. Great Golden Sword Chi. 9 Dragons Protection. Zhao Xuanyi saw that Fang Qingshan didn't say anything and made a move. Moreover, his first move was one of the 8 ultimate techniques of emergent sect, the Great Freedom Mysterious Golden Sword Chi. It was menacing. Zhao Xuanyi quickly displayed his body protection magic power. But there was a flash of golden light, and 9 divine dragons hovered around his body. Crack! With a tearing sound, the 9 dragons' protection was torn apart in an instant. The Great Golden Sword Chi slashed directly on Zhao Xuanyi's body. Boom! An unparalleled force sent him flying. If it wasn't for the fact that he was wearing an upper-grade magical robe, he wouldn't have been able to escape unscathed from that attack. Junior brother Zhao. From a moment Fong Qingshan appeared to the moment Zhao Xuanyi was sent flying, it was only a matter of a few breaths. Not only did Song Wei not expect Zhao Xuanyi to be defeated so quickly, but Hua Tiandu and the other two were also surprised. Little brother. Seeing the appearance of Fong Qingshan, Fong Qingxue could not help but be surprised, especially when she felt that his cultivation was a step higher than hers. He had actually broken through the gold core realm. Even with Fong Qingxue's state of mind, she could not help but be a little surprised. It's him. Not only Fong Qingxue, but Ying Tianqing's feelings were even more complicated. He also recognized Fong Qingshan. The last time he saw Fong Qingshan, he had just broken through to the divine secret realm and had not cultivated any divine powers and did not have any magic weapons. Ying Tianqing wanted to give him a gift, but he did not expect that when they met again, Fong Qingshan had not only caught up with him in cultivation, but most importantly, Ying Tianqing actually felt a strong threat from Fong Qingshan. A scholar who has been away for 3 days should be looked at differently. Junior brother Zhao, are you okay? Song Wei helped Zhao Xuanyi up, and when he saw the dim light and the cracks on the magical robe, he could not help but be shocked. I won't die. Zhao Xuanyi shook his head and looked at Fong Qingshan with some lingering fear. We're all from the righteous Tao. Isn't this fellow Taoist a bit too ruthless? Seeing that Zhao Xuanyi was fine, Song Wei was relieved and immediately put the blame on him. Oh, you're the ones who are saying bad things, and you're also the ones who are saying good things. When you bullied Fong Han, why didn't you say that you are on a righteous path? Fong Qingshan sneered. What a good Greater One sect. Who do you think you are? Are you the Celestial Emperor? Calling a deer a horse and saying the law? You. Song Wei could not win against Fong Qingshan in words, and Zhao Xuanyi could not take a sword from Fong Qingshan, and he was the same. Since he could not win against Fong Han, he could only ask for help. Song Wei turned to Hua Tiandu and said, Today we admit defeat. Please ask senior brother Hua to let my 6 junior brothers go. Well, in that case, Fong Han, let Taoist Master Fusho and the others go. Hua Tiandu nodded and said to Fong Han. Fong Han could not help but sneer and ignored Hua Tiandu, but looked at Fong Qingshan and Fong Qingxue. I can let them go, but you have to show your sincerity, Fong Qingshan said lightly. What do you mean? Zhao Wei asked. The winner is king, and the loser is in the wrong. Since they have been captured, they naturally have to pay a ransom if they want to let them go. Isn't this a matter of course? Fong Qingshan said calmly. This is impossible. It was already unprecedented for Song Wei and Fong Han to admit defeat today. If they still wanted a ransom, even if they returned to Greater One sect, they would not have a good time. Chapter 180. Junior brother, you've gone too far. You can't indulge Fong Han anymore. Otherwise, it will be too late for regrets if he falls into the devil's way in the future. Hua Tiandu said earnestly. You don't have to worry about this, senior brother Hua. If Fong Han dares to fall into the devil's path in the future, I, the junior brother, will personally deal with him. There is no place for him to hide in the heavens or the earth. Fong Qingshan glanced at Fong Han and said lightly, So, junior brother won't give me face. Hua Tiandu's face gradually darkened. Give you face? Fong Qingshan sneered. Then who will give me my sister and my Fong family face? Fong Han was a member of the Fong family. When Hua Tiandu was suppressing him, why didn't he think of giving him face and let him go? At this time, he wanted her to give him face and let the people of the Greater One sect go. Didn't he think that the persimmon was soft and easy to pinch? He thought that by relying on the number 1 successor disciple of the emergent sect, by relying on his heaven-defying cultivation, he could deter her. What a big face. Hua Tiandu's face suddenly darkened. He said gloomily, The emergent sect is a big sect of the immortal Tao. We share weal and woe with the Greater One sect. There must be no conflict. Otherwise, when the devil's way invades in the future, people will be plunged into misery and suffering. How can we work together? Junior brother, are you really willing to take the responsibility of destroying the peace of the immortal Tao? Don't accuse me. Fang Qingshan waved his hand, pretending to be afraid. I'm timid and can't stand your scare. Anyway, I didn't catch them. You should ask Fang Han if he is willing to let them go. Of course not. The hypocrites of the Greater One sect bully the weak and go back on their word. If they are not killed, heaven will punish them. I am enforcing justice on behalf of heaven. I want to let them go and let the people of the Greater One sect come to my emergence sect to get them. Fang Han was not a person who gave in, especially when it was obvious that Fang Qingshan and Fang Qingxue were on his side. He was even more unscrupulous. Well, it seems that if I don't use my means, you really think you can overturn the heavens. Seeing Fang Qingshan and Fang Han echoing each other, Hua Tiandu could no longer restrain his anger. That's more like it. At the end of the day, the one with the bigger fist is the one with the bigger fist. If he could take us down, there will naturally be no objections. Fang Qingshan had been waiting for him to say this. Little brother, can you do it? Fang Qingxue had just tested out Hua Tiandu's power. Although she hadn't used her full strength, it was still a small test. She knew that Hua Tiandu's reputation was well-deserved. Don't worry, big sister. I won't do it if I don't have a diamond in the rough. Since I've stood out, even if I can't defeat him, I can still remain undefeated. Fang Qingshan said confidently. Fine. Since that's the case, let's go all out and do it. Let him know that the people of the Fang clan aren't that easy to suppress. Even if we can't beat him in the end, we'll go all out and make sure he doesn't get away scot-free. Fang Qingxue said coldly. Fang Han was a member of the Fang clan. He didn't violate the rules of the clan, so it was up to the Fang clan to decide how to punish him. Moreover, he had the painting of the Yellow Springs, so Fang Qingxue naturally couldn't give up on him. With Fang Qingxue's cultivation, if she used the little destiny art together with the inextinguishable lightning, she might really be able to defeat Hua Tiandu. I won't. Fang Qingshan waved his hand and said, Big sister, just pay attention to Song Wei and Fang Qingshan. Leave Hua Tiandu to me. As he said this, Fang Qingshan took a step forward and the sky changed color. Great five elements Tiangang, thunder. As soon as he finished speaking, dense ancient thunder characters appeared in the sky. Each of them was the size of a fist, deep and simple. They described the way of heavenly thunder, the way of the five elements, subduing demons and punishing evil. This was the way of the heavenly tribulation, the strongest of all. After a while, the thunder shook the sky. Thousands of characters suddenly turned, and black light shot out from them. As they turned left and right, the five elements merged into one, condensing into a strong thunder, interweaving into a net, and covered the sky. At this moment, the sky was filled with thunder and lightning. The black and oppressive power filled the whole world with a destructive aura. Huh, this thunder technique? Seeing this scene, Fang Qingxue's eyes lit up. She was the reincarnation of the Lightning Mother, and she mastered the inextinguishable lightning, so she had a deep understanding of the way of thunder. However, the five-element strong thunder Fang Qingshan used was very different from the immortal world's thunder technique, but it led to the same goal, which gave her a lot of inspiration. Insignificant skill. A cold light flashed in Hua Tiandu's eyes. With a thought, a shadow rushed out of his head. This shadow was wearing a pattern embroidered with thousands of bright moons and stars, as well as mountains, rivers, and earth. The most mysterious thing was that this shadow had 9 hands and 5 heads, and it was stepping on a giant turtle and a giant fish. Each of its 9 hands was holding a magic tool, a saber, a sword, a bow, a spear, a hammer, a fork, a bottle, a rope, and a stick. First, there was Fang Qingxue, and then there was Fang Qingshan. Hua Tiandu decided to end the battle quickly and tell everyone not to challenge his patience with his overwhelming power. Therefore, without saying a word, he directly took out his own Dharma form. As soon as the Dharma form came out, the wind and cloud changed color, covering all directions. The big hand stretched out and pulled. Crack! With a tearing sound, the thundercloud was torn in half in an instant. Umph! You think you're so great just because you have the Dharma form? Fang Qingshan snorted coldly and slapped his forehead. Then he saw the light of the clouds floating out of the gate of heaven, and a golden core rose, blooming with infinite light. What a good golden core! Oh my God! There are 81 magical powers. No wonder he dared to challenge Hua Tiandu. How did he cultivate so many magical powers? His sea of consciousness can bear so many magical powers. Seeing Fang Qingshan's golden core, the people present were in an uproar, and even Hua Tiandu was shocked. Song Wei and Zhao Xuanyi were even more envious. 81 magical powers, he could blow a big conch, beat a big drum, and have the potential to become an immortal. This person deserves to die. The two looked at each other and saw the same meaning in each other's eyes. Fang Han, the third young master of the Fang family, can only be a friend, not an enemy. Seeing this, even Yin was silent for a while, and then warned Fang Han. I know. Fang Han nodded. Although he was lawless, he had always been in awe of Fang Qingshan. As his cultivation increased, Fang Qingshan still made him look up to him. Of course, he would not be stupid enough to stand opposite to Fang Qingshan. The only person present who was happy for Fang Qingshan was Fang Qingxue. She looked at Fang Qingshan with a gratified expression. Seeing her little brother go from a congenital defect to the point where he could challenge Hua Tiandu, she was filled with emotion. Great 5 elements destructive needles go. No matter how shocked the crowd was, the golden core spun in the air like a peacock spreading its tail, sprinkling endless colorful light. A handful of colorful needles shot toward Hua Tiandu's Dharma idol like a fairy scattering flowers. Chapter 181. Swish, swish, swish. Beams of divine light shot out in all sorts of colors and were incomparably gorgeous. Vaguely, the high-pitched cry of a peacock rose into the sky. It enveloped the entire Taiyuan celestial abode. A terrifying aura of death spread out. It was a terrifying aura that could destroy souls and bones, tear everything apart, and destroy everything in its path. An immeasurable pressure burst out on the spot. The 5 elements killing needle. In the 3 kingdoms, Fang Qingshan had used the 5 elements theurgy in the golden core dharma forms and the hundreds of years of accumulation of the Great Han dynasty. Just like how Fang Han had cultivated the 5 emperors' great demon art to perfection in one fell swoop. The ultimate divine ability of the He-Sha wondrous scripture was finally cultivated to perfection by him. Of course, perfection did not mean that the power of this theurgy had reached its peak. As Fang Qingshan's understanding of the Tao of the 5 elements deepened, his cultivation increased, and he refined more and stronger essences of the 5 elements. The power of this mystic art would continue to grow alongside him. What a powerful theurgy! Even Hua Tiandu could not help but sigh when he saw this theurgy. He did not dare to underestimate it. When Yin saw it, he felt the same as when Fang Qingxue had seen Fang Qingshan unleash the 5 elements thunder. How is this possible? There is no other 5 elements Tao in this world besides the 5 elements art. Hearing Yin murmur, Fang Han could not help but ask curiously, "What's wrong? Is there something wrong?" The 5 Emperors' great demon theurgy I gave you is actually the 5 elements art of the 3,000 great Tao theurgy. It can be said to be the most advanced 5 elements Tao theurgy in the world. I did not expect your third young master to use an unheard of theurgy that is no weaker than the 5 elements art. It is incredible. Oh, Fang Han was stunned for a moment, then shook his head and said nonchalantly, "The world is big and full of wonders. Although you are knowledgeable, you may not know everything. Since it exists, it must have its reasons. Don't dwell on it. One punch to break all things, Pan Wu's strength break." At the same time, Hua Tiandu's deep voice sounded. The 5 heads and 9 arms Dharma form behind him suddenly expanded and turned into a giant. 9 mountain-sized fists punched out. Pan Wu's strength divine art. All of a sudden, Hua Tiandu, seemed to have become a martial arts saint, where the ancient Wu people, chasing stars and seizing the moon. However, he was different from the martial arts saints and the ancient Wu people. Hua Tiandu's divine ability was a divine ability of the Dharma Tao, not a divine ability of the martial Tao or the divine ability of the Wu people's fleshly body. Hua Tiandu had inherited this divine ability from the ancient Pan, Wu Celestial. To be more precise, it was the origin Taoist's great original magic. Like the Ascension sect's great yin-yang magic, Feng Han's great five elements magic, and great reincarnation magic, it was also one of the 3,000 great Taoist divine abilities. Once this divine power was successfully cultivated, it could open up 9C of consciousness, and the cultivator's magic power would be extremely dense. His magic power could grow almost endlessly, and he didn't have to worry about his body exploding. This divine art used an unbelievably dense amount of magic power to suppress others, and not to use extreme strength to break techniques. However, different paths lead to the same goal. After reaching a certain limit, one could break through all techniques with one strength. It didn't matter if it was magic power or brute force. Clang! The Pan Wu Great Strength Divine Ability collided with the Great Five Elements Exterminating Needle, giving off a loud sound that sounded like a great bell. Wherever the divine needle went, the entire space seemed to have been pierced into a sieve, and wherever Hua Tiandu's fist passed, the space also shattered. When the two extreme forces collided, an extreme force naturally erupted. Whoosh! Hua Tiandu's body swayed, and he couldn't help but take dozens of steps back. His feet were like beating drums, and the continuous thumping sound were heard. He almost fell back into the tunnel of the ultimate. When his feet landed on the ground, it was like a divine needle that calmed the sea. The whole scene shook violently. Fang Qingshan's body was like a shooting star, and he was sent flying for more than a mile. This is a bit tricky. Their gazes collided in midair, and they both saw a trace of seriousness in each other's eyes. Fang Qingshan wasn't too surprised. After all, Hua Tiandu's cultivation was higher than his. Even if he used the Great Five Elements Exterminating Needle, the Pan Wu Great Strength Divine Ability that Hua Tiandu used was not weak at all. On the other hand, Hua Tiandu was really shocked by Fang Qingshan. With his foundation, experience, and divine ability, there was a difference of 3 levels. How could he not be surprised that Fang Qingshan was only at a slight disadvantage? This is a strong opponent. Seeing Fang Qingshan, Hua Tiandu's heart was instantly filled with a strong sense of threat. As the number 1 true disciple of the emergent sect, Hua Tiandu originally didn't care about the other true disciples. He believed that as long as he continued to improve, the emergent sect would be handed over to him sooner or later. Whether it was Dong Ling Xiao, Nan Jinan, or Fang Qingxue, none of them posed a threat to him. But today, after fighting with Fang Qingshan, he suddenly felt a sense of fear. Fang Han's progress was already considered fast, but Fang Qingshan was even faster than him. Especially now that Fang Han was only in the Golden Core realm, but he was only at a slight disadvantage when fighting with Hua Tiandu. Then when they were in the same realm, wouldn't Hua Tiandu be crushed to pieces? Thinking of this, Hua Tiandu couldn't help but feel gloomy. Not only him, but the onlookers were also shocked. Hua Tiandu, Zhao Xuanyi, and the others, the people of the Sun Moon Sword sect, and even Fang Qingxue and Fang Han were all ready to help at any time. But they didn't expect that Fang Qingshan would be so fierce that he actually repelled Hua Tiandu in the first exchange, even though he himself had retreated even more. In particular, Hua Tiandu had used the peerless divine ability of the Pan Wu Great Strength, but he had only just gained the upper hand. How could this not make everyone dumbfounded? The emergent sect, the Fang family, they are amazing. Yes, before, there was Hua Tiandu, Ling Xiao, Jianan, and Fang Qingxue. Now, there is Fang Han and Fang Qingshan. If they all grow up, the position of the top sect of the immortal Tao will probably change. God is too kind to the Fang family. Geniuses are emerging one after another, and they are not ordinary geniuses. Now the people of the Greater One sect will be anxious. Hearing the conversation between the Sun Moon Sword sect and the Astral sect, and then looking at Fang Qingshan's performance, Zhao Xuanyi and Song Wei's faces were so gloomy that it could almost drip ice. Hua Tiandu naturally heard what everyone said, and a killing intent arose in his heart. Fang Qingshan was really a threat to him. Not to mention his combat strength, he had the qualifications to become an immortal. Once he returned to the emergent sect, he would definitely be valued by the sect. Don't blame me. Who told you to block my way? Looking at Fang Qingshan, Hua Tiandu thought to himself. Even though he did not dare to kill Fang Qingshan, it was still possible for him to suppress Fang Qingshan and leave a shadow in the latter's heart. Chapter 182. The true disciples of the emergent sect were not allowed to fight in private. Even if there was an irreconcilable conflict, it could only be settled on the Heaven's punishment platform, under the supervision of the sect and under the watchful eyes of the public. Although he was not in the sect right now, he could injure or severely injure Fang Qingshan. With his status in the emergent sect and the Panwu immortal treasury behind him, the sect would at most heavily punish him. However, if he dared to cripple or even kill Fang Qingshan, it would be a serious matter. Even if Hua Tiandu displayed his prowess and killed everyone in the end, the news could not be hidden. Because the people of the Sun Moon Sword sect, although they were true disciples, they were not important figures. However, Zhao Xuanyi of the Greater One sect, Song Wei, was a true disciple of Song Wei, and Ing Tianqing was the son of the innate demon sect's Ing Xiantian. Fang Qingxue was the reincarnation of the Lightning Mother and was highly regarded by the sect leader. Once he killed Fang Qingxue and the others, he would be at the end of his life. However, although he could not kill Fang Qingshan or even cripple him, he could create a flaw in his heart, create a mental barrier or haze, and stop his rapid progress. This was like a whetstone sharpening Fang Qingshan. Even if it was a little too heavy, the sect would not go too far. Of course, if Fang Qingshan was unable to recover from the setback, the sect would not say anything. Geniuses were only geniuses who grew up. Geniuses who could not overcome this obstacle were all trash. How could they be valued by the sect? Even Hua Tiandu, did he not get to where he was today after going through many difficulties? Great desolation, ancient furnace, devour. At this moment, Hua Tiandu directly took out the Great Desolation Ancient Furnace, an upper-grade Dao artifact that he obtained along with the Panwu Strength God art. The Great Desolation Ancient Furnace flew out from Hua Tiandu's palm, expanded in the wind, and turned into a furnace of heaven and earth in a flash. Hua Tiandu flicked his finger, and with a clang, the sound of a bell rang out. In an instant, a pitch-black abyss appeared within the Great Desolation Ancient Furnace, and a suction force that was as powerful as a sonic boom erupted. The sky darkened, and even light was sucked into the abyss. Thinking about Hua Tiandu's cultivation level, he defied the heavens and changed his fate. He was just one step away from becoming an immortal giant. Plus, he cultivated the Panwu Great Strength technique, so his magical power was limitless. At this moment, the power of the Great Desolation Cauldron was completely unleashed in his hands. Fang Qingshan didn't expect Hua Tiandu to be so decisive. Seeing that the Panwu vigorous technique couldn't do anything to him, he immediately took out a high-grade Dao artifact. Bearing the brunt of the attack, he staggered and was nearly sucked into the Great Desolation Ancient Furnace. Retreat. Not only him, but the people who were watching the show were also caught in the crossfire. The Great Desolation Ancient Furnace erupted with a boundless devouring power. One by one, they were like rootless duckweeds as they flew towards the Great Desolation Ancient Furnace. Luckily, Hua Tiandu didn't target them. They were only affected by the aftershock. However, it was enough to scare the crowd into hurriedly taking out their magic treasures. They stabilized themselves and ran far away. They didn't expect Fang Qingshan and Hua Tiandu to fight so fiercely. First, it was the Panwu Great Strength technique. Now, they even took out a high-grade Dao artifact. Damn it, What is Hua Tiandu trying to do? Seeing this, Fang Qingxue was even more furious. If she didn't know that Fang Qingshan also had a Dao artifact, she would have taken out the inextinguishable lightning and rushed over. What else can he do? He's trying to suppress his own. Ying Tianqing said with a serious expression. Third brother is already a serious threat to Hua Tiandu. That's why he's trying his best to suppress him. Qingxue, let's attack together. Ying Tianqing was trying to please Fang Qingxue, but he also felt uneasy. Hua Tiandu has taken out his Dao artifact. I'm afraid he won't hold back anymore. I'm afraid that third brother will be in danger. That's my third brother, not yours. Hearing Ying Tianqing address her so intimately, Fang Qingxue couldn't help but snort coldly. As for help, I don't need it now. Hua Tiandu, the number one true disciple. It's indeed hard to live up to your reputation. Just as Ying Tianqing was wondering about Fang Qingxue's reaction, Fang Qingshan finally exploded. You actually need to use a Dao artifact to deal with me, a mere golden core cultivator? But do you think you're the only one with a Dao artifact? The sound of a sword rang out. At first, it sounded like the buzz of a mosquito. Then it gradually became like a tidal wave, like thunder. Suddenly, it became louder, like raging waves beating against the shore, and huge waves hitting the sky, shattering the layers of clouds. Lightning flashed across the sky. Everyone felt their vision blur, and a chill ran down their spines. The engulfing power suddenly stopped. A Dao artifact, a high-grade Dao artifact, and it's a sword-shaped killing Dao artifact. It looks like it's comparable to a peerless Dao artifact. After everything calmed down, everyone saw that Hua Tiandu had a heaven and earth furnace above his head, and Fang Qingshan was holding a sharp sword in his hand, facing off against each other. The exclamations of the emergent sect's future resounded in everyone's mind again. Cultivation aside, Hua Tiandu had the ancient furnace of great wilderness, Fang Qingshan had the pure yang flying sword, and Fang Qingxue had the inextinguishable lightning. No one knew that Fang Han had the underworld diagram. Putting everything else aside, there were 3 Dao artifacts here. Moreover, these Dao artifacts were not low or medium grade. Even the worst ones were high grade. The ancient furnace of great wilderness in Hua Tiandu's hand came from the Panwu Immortal's treasure. It was the key to opening this treasure. Because of this, Hua Tiandu had a respected position in the emergent sect. Although no one knew where the pure yang flying sword in Fang Qingshan's hand came from, it was a killing weapon that could not be underestimated. As for Fang Qingxue's inextinguishable lightning, it was also related to the inheritance of the ancient Thunder Emperor. One should know that even a normal low-grade Dao artifact could tempt an immortal cultivator, let alone a high-grade or even a peerless Dao artifact. How could the crowd not be envious? Especially Zhao Xuani and Song Wei. Initially, they only wanted to kill Fang Qingxue and recruit Hua Tiandu. Now, they wanted to kill them all at once. The two glanced at each other. Countless calculations flashed across their eyes. On the other side, Hua Tiandu saw that Fang Qingshan had also taken out an upper-grade Dao artifact that was not any weaker than the ancient furnace of Great Wilderness. Moreover, it was a killing weapon. His desire to suppress Fang Qingshan grew stronger. Without further ado, he formed a hand seal with both hands. His 9 Cs of consciousness were activated, and an immeasurable amount of magic power poured into the ancient furnace of Great Wilderness. Buzz! The ancient furnace of Great Wilderness shook. An indescribable scorching aura began to rise, locking onto Fang Qingshan from afar. Fang Qingshan's body tensed up. He felt like the hollowness world around him was like metal, trying to imprison him on the spot. At this moment, Fang Qingshan felt like he had returned to the time before the ancient desolation was created. There were 10 suns in the sky. The ancient furnace of Great Wilderness turned into a giant sun and smashed down on Fang Qingshan. Chapter 183. Dying. Fang Qingshan took in a deep breath and used the pure yang sword technique to activate the pure yang flying sword. His heart moved and his sword moved. All of a sudden, A ray of sword light appeared in this barren and scorching world. It was extremely pure and bright, and it was extremely natural. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and even 10 great suns rose up behind Fang Qingshan's back. Brilliant rays of light shone down from the skies, illuminating the entire area. Following the movement of the sword light, they slowly fused together, transforming into a brand new great sun that smashed towards the great desolation ancient furnace. The sword moved like a flickering light. The sword light shone brightly, and the pure yang sword technique descended. The sword realm appeared. Dang! The pure yang flying sword and the furnace of great wilderness clashed. The sound of metal clashing against metal was like the sound of a drum being struck by a god or a monk striking a bell. The sound waves were so real that sparks flew everywhere. Wild winds swept through the air. This was not a normal wind, but a wind that belonged to space. The world of confinement created by the furnace of great wilderness was shattered. The sword realm created by the pure yang flying sword was destroyed as well. This time, the two of them were evenly matched. Though the furnace of great wilderness was not bad, it was not a killing weapon. The pure yang flying sword, on the other hand, was more offensive than the furnace of great wilderness. On top of that, the pure yang sword technique was a perfect match for it. Adding the two together, the effect of 1 + 1 was greater than 2. As for Hua Tiandu's Panwu strength, his 9 Cs of consciousness, his spiritual energy was limitless. Fang Qingshan trained in the natural and acquired qi of the 5 elements. Adding on the power of the Tree of World, his spiritual energy was no weaker than Hua Tiandu's. This time, before everyone could exclaim, they felt an indescribable fear wash over them. Where is this place? This was the Tai Yuan Celestial Residence, one of the biggest treasures in the Xianwang world. It was a space created by the Tai Yuan Celestial himself. Inside, there was even a fairy weapon. It was filled with all kinds of powerful prohibitions. Since ancient times, it was unknown how many cultivators had gone there in search of treasures. Even the masters of the secret realm of longevity had suffered greatly. The Greater One sect had always been plotting how to seize the Tai Yuan immortal residence, but because of the immortal prohibitions, they did not dare to act rashly. But now, Fang Qingshan and Hua Tiandu were fighting with high-grade Dao artifacts in their hands. The commotion was so great that it affected the surroundings. If they were not careful, it would cause a chain reaction in the Tai Yuan immortal abode. In an instant, the entire Tai Yuan celestial abode shook. One after another, the restrictions began to be activated. Endless brilliance bloomed, and the light of treasures shot into the sky. But at this moment, no one felt excited or happy. On the contrary, fear rose in Hua Tiandu's heart. He no longer cared about fighting with Fang Qingshan. With a thought, he withdrew his Dharma idol and Taoist artifact, turned around, and entered the passage to the ultimate behind him. It was different from before. Originally, the restriction of the Tai Yuan immortal abode had also been activated, but it was only caused by Fang Han using the 5 Hell King tripod. Now, it was him and Fang Qingshan using 2 high-grade Dao artifacts with all their strength. The chain reaction caused was naturally not the same. Oh no, the restriction of the Tai Yuan immortal abode has been activated. Damn it, let's go. Run. Faster, faster. Don't stand in front of me. Feeling the ripples of the restriction of the Tai Yuan immortal abode spread out like a halo, it was extremely powerful. In the void, there was a faint howl like a landslide or a tsunami. It also sounded like hundreds of millions of galloping horses. Everyone wished they could grow wings, quickly escape from this place, and enter the passage to the ultimate. Although the treasures were good, they had to be alive to enjoy them. It would be fine if they had come here carefully to search for treasures on normal days. But now, because the battle between Fang Qingshan and Hua Tiandu had caused a chain reaction in the formation of the restriction of the Tai Yuan immortal abode, anyone who was reckless enough to search for treasures would simply be stupid. Didn't they see that Hua Tiandu had run away at the first moment? Let's go. Fang Qingshan's expression changed slightly. Although he was not afraid, he did not want to be trapped in it. With a shout, he used the 5 elements escape skill and followed Hua Tiandu into the passage to the ultimate. At this moment, no one noticed that Zhao Xuanyi and Song Wei's faces showed a trace of a strange expression at the same time. Zhao Xuanyi, Song Wei, you are courting death. If I don't die, I will definitely destroy your souls. Everyone was scrambling to get into the passage to the ultimate, but they did not expect to hear Fang Han's mournful voice on the way. Looking back, it turned out that when everyone was running away, Zhao Xuanyi and Song Wei seized the opportunity to attack Fang Han together. Not only did they cut off his way forward, but they also directly knocked him into the Tai Yuan immortal abode behind him. Fang Qingshan, who was running in front, naturally felt the movement behind him. He did not expect that even after blocking Hua Tiandu, Fang Han still did not escape the fate of being forced into the Tai Yuan immortal abode. However, he was not worried about Fang Han, not to mention the fact that he was the son of luck, an unkillable cockroach. Everything would turn misfortune into fortune. Just the world tree in his sea of consciousness made him immortal. As for why Fang Qingshan knew that Fang Han also had the world tree, it was very simple. After all, the world tree in his mind and the world tree in Fang Han's body had the same root and origin, so he would naturally sense it. As for the world tree, a top-level spirit root, why could there be 2 of them at the same time? Fang Qingshan did not know. Perhaps this was the protagonist's law. However, although he was not worried about Fang Han, Zhao Xuanyi and Song Wei had to teach them a lesson. Previously, when he and Fang Qingxue were not there, they dared to plot against Fang Han in front of him. They simply did not take him seriously. The Greater One sect was really used to being domineering. Did they think that he would not dare to deal with them? You guys go too. Fang Qingshan sneered. With a thought, his spiritual power gathered into a big hand that covered the sky and slapped towards Song Wei and Song Wei. No. The 2 were still feeling complacent about plotting against Fang Han, but they did not expect to follow in his footsteps in the blink of an eye. A powerful force hit them. Although it did not cause any injury, it directly smashed them into the restriction of the Tai Yuan Immortal Mansion. Fang Qingshan, the Greater One sect will not let you off. In panic and despair, Song Wei and Zhao Xuanyi could only leave behind a threat. I'll wait. Fang Qingshan responded indifferently. Junior brother Fang, how dare you do this? Can you bear the consequences of our emergence sect going to war with the Greater One sect? After coming out of the ultimate passage and returning to the flesh and blood swamp, he heard Hua Tiandu's rebuke. I don't know if I can bear the consequences. I only know that I am a disciple of the emergent sect. Don't think that you can bully your own people in front of me and escape unscathed. Fang Qingshan said indifferently. You, stubborn, do not know the big picture. It seems that I have to take you down first. A cold light flashed in Hua Tiandu's eyes. What a big tone. I want to see how you take me down. Before Fang Qingshan could speak, he heard Fang Qingxue, who had just come out, said coldly. Chapter 184. As soon as Fang Qingxue stood still, she took out the inextinguishable lightning, a supreme grade Taoist instrument. For a moment, rolling thunderclouds rushed out of her head, and a thunder emperor, about the same size as Hua Tiandu's Dharma idol, appeared. This thunder emperor stood on dark clouds, wearing a lightning robe and a crown. He was majestic and ruled over the world. All the thunder and lightning were under his control, and the yin and yang qi existed for him. When he opened his eyes, millions of thunderbolts flashed, as if all the thunder and lightning in the world were hidden in his eyes. She felt the same as Fang Qingshan. She could forget about bullying Fang Han, but Zhao Xuanyi dared to attack her right in front of her. How could the proud Fang Qingxue tolerate this? After all, Fang Qingshan had already sent them into the Taiyuan Immortal Mansion. However, she didn't expect that Hua Tiandu would still want to help her younger brother. Fang Qingxue's eyes suddenly revealed a murderous look. For Fang Han, She was willing to break out of the small immortal realm and go overseas, not to mention her younger brother, Feng Qingshan. If Hua Tiandu dared to go against the world, she wouldn't mind using the little destiny skill. She would like to see who would have a last laugh. At the same time, Ying Tianqing, who came out with her, was not willing to be left behind. Although he didn't have a treasure like the inextinguishable lightning, he also took out his gold core relic and stood firmly on Feng Qingshue's side. In addition, Feng Qingshan was caressing the pure yang, flying sword calmly. Hua Tiandu's face was as beautiful as a dye house. Feng Qingshan was already very tricky for him to deal with. With Feng Qingxue and Ying Tianqing, he really didn't have the confidence to win. Well, you can do it. I won't attack you, lest the sect says that I bully the weak. Hua Tiandu knew that he couldn't go back on his words, so he didn't intend to attack, but he wouldn't weaken the morale with his words. You have forced the true disciple of the Supreme Sect into the Tai Yuan immortal manor. The Supreme Sect will definitely not let this go. I will return to the sect now and report to the sect leader. You should also prepare to face the sect leader's responsibility. You don't have to worry about it. It just so happens that we also want to go back and complain about you. Let's wait and see. Feng Qingshan said lightly. Really? Hua Tiandu cast a cold glance at Feng Qingshan and the others, then turned around and morphed into a streak of light that vanished into thin air. Qingshui, it's time for me to go. The mountains will not change, and the rivers will flow forever. We will meet again. After Hua Tian left, Ying Tianqing bid farewell to Feng Qingxue. Third brother, let's go. Feng Qingxue said to Feng Qingshan. When we return to the sect, you and I will ask the sect leader for help. Let's see if we can save Feng Han. Don't worry, big sister. Feng Han was born with a great destiny and has a long life. As long as the sect leader helps him, he will be fine, Feng Qingshan said with a smile. Oh, you are so sure? Feng Qingxue asked in surprise. The flood dragon in the yellow spring is with him. Feng Qingshan said with a smile. So it is with him. Feng Qingshue's expression did not change much when she heard this. Feng Han was just a servant, but he had made it this far and even dared to make a 10-year life-and-death pact with Hua Tiandu. This was absolutely impossible without great luck and support. Connecting the dots, as well as Feng Han's divine sense, Feng Qingxue easily thought of the flood dragon in the yellow spring. She bitterly regretted that every year she had worked so hard for others. She had worked so hard for nothing, but in the end, Feng Han had benefited. Fortunately, Feng Han was also a member of the Feng family. Feng Qingxue was not too angry. In addition, the inextinguishable lightning in her hand was not weaker than the flood dragon in the slightest, so Feng Qingxue was not jealous. It was just that Feng Han had hidden it from her for so long. She still had to punish him when she had the chance. In that case, let's hurry back to the sect and ask the sect master to take action. After all, the Tai Yuan Immortal Mansion is a place that even immortals can't walk away from, Feng Qingxue said decisively. As for the possibility of Hua Tiandu going back to complain and the Greater One sect's coercion, neither Feng Qingshan nor Feng Qingxue took it seriously. The general trend had been set. There was no need to mention Feng Han and the underworld flood dragon diagram. Just the two siblings alone, it was impossible for Emergent Sect to abandon them for two Jidan realm disciples of the Greater One sect. Let's go. A five-colored light flashed on Feng Qingshan's body, and lightning flashed on Feng Qingxue's body. The two disappeared into the sky at the same time. Something big is going to happen. Yes, the Greater One sect actually had two Jindan true disciples of the one-word generation fall here. They will definitely not let this go. Let's go and find a place to hide. When things calm down, we will come out. Otherwise, we will be caught in the crossfire. Yes, let's go. The disciples of the Sun Moon Sword sect and many rogue cultivators who followed Feng Qingxue out discussed for a while, and then hurriedly went their separate ways. As these people left, the explosion of the Tai Yuan Immortal Mansion slowly subsided, as if nothing had happened. However, the outside world was in an uproar because of this. Originally, The Greater One sect had just called the immortal cultivation sects and many rogue cultivators to hunt down the demon commander Ing Tianqing. They did not expect things to turn out this way. First, Fang Han of the Emergent Sect and the Greater One sect fought. Then Fang Qingxue and Hua Tiandu appeared. Did he think that this was the end of it? That the final word had been decided? No. In the end, Fang Qingshan, Fang Qingshue's younger brother, actually caught up and broke through to the Golden Core realm. He had 81 divine powers, had the potential to become an immortal, and held a top-grade killing Dao weapon that was comparable to a peerless Dao weapon. He was on par with Hua Tiandu. However, this was not the end. The two of them fought with Dao weapons. The noise was so loud that it triggered the explosion of the Tai Yuan Immortal Mansion. Zhao Xuanyi and Song Wei of the Greater One sect took the opportunity to sneak attack Fang Han and send him into the Tai Yuan Immortal Mansion. Giving them a taste of their own medicine, Fang Qingshan of the Emergent sect also took action in order to retaliate, sending Zhao Xuanyi and the other man inside as well. What kind of place was the Tai Yuan Immortal Mansion? It was a place where even longevity realm experts might fail miserably. Fang Han, Zhao Xuanyi, and Song Wei would not be able to return after entering the Tai Yuan Immortal Mansion. Given how domineering the Greater One sect was, how could they let go of the loss of two one-word Golden Core disciples? For a time, the entire black-yellow Great World was surging with undercurrents. Whether it was the monster and demon sects, the hidden Shun clan, or even the other sects of the 10 immortal cultivation sects, they were all adding fuel to the fire, trying to make the Emergent sect and the Greater One sect fight. The demons and the Shun clan were easy to deal with, but the other immortal cultivation sects were also doing the same. The reason was very simple, let alone the Greater One sect. Look at the disciples of the Emergent sect, Hua Tiandu, Fang Qingxue, Fang Qingshan, Fang Han. All of them were God's favored ones with Dao weapons. The tallest tree in the forest would be destroyed by the wind. How could other sects not be envious? Chapter 185. The Emergent Sect. Just as the disciples of the Sun Moon Sword sect and other immortal Dao sects, as well as various rogue cultivators, spread the news about the Tai Yuan Immortal Mansion, the Emergent sect had already received the notice from Hua Tiandu, Fang Qingxue, and Fang Qingshan. For a time, the entire sect was in motion. In addition to the elders who were hiding in the depths of space-time and those who were far away from the black-yellow Great World, many elders gathered in the depths of the Emergent's heavenly palace. Moreover, these elders were not the ordinary elders of the Divine Ability Secret Realm. They were at least at the 9th level of the Divine Ability Secret Realm, the 10th level of the Heaven-Defying Fate-Changing Realm. There were also elders like Tianxing and Chuangong who had broken through to the Longevity Secret Realm. The meeting was hosted by the head of the Emergent sect, Feng Baiyu. The theme of the meeting was to discuss how to deal with what happened in front of the Tai Yuan Immortal Mansion not long ago. Don't blame them for making a fuss. The true disciple was the foundation of the sect, especially this true disciple who was in the Gold Core realm and had the hope of breaking through to the Longevity realm. Of course, more importantly, this true disciple was a disciple of the Greater One sect. It was the Tai sect. The mention of these three words was a great deterrent to the entire black-yellow Great World. Although the Emergent sect and the Greater One sect were both part of the top 10 sects of the Immortal Dao, in terms of power and heritage, the difference was too great. If the Emergent sect was in their place, and two Gold Core Realm disciples were harmed, they would immediately go to the sect to fight. If the Emergent sect was like this, then there was no need to mention the Greater One sect, which had always been overbearing. Although this time the Greater One sect was in the wrong, everyone still did not dare to take it lightly. And all this was because of strength. With strength, as long as it was not a great crime. So what if they were in the wrong? Even the Emergent sect, which was also one of the top 10 sects of the Immortal Dao, had to be careful. Without strength, let alone being in the wrong. Even if they occupied the supreme moral high ground, it was just that the winner was king and the loser was in the wrong. This time, what do you think of this matter? Feng Baiyu calmly glanced at the elders and asked without any sadness or joy, "What else is there to say? Feng Han has already fallen into the devil's path. Even if the disciples of the Greater One sect don't do anything, he will definitely be sent to the heavens punishment platform when he returns to the sect. He deserves to die. But for him, he actually killed a Jindan true disciple of the Greater One sect. It's ridiculous, especially when he has an ambiguous relationship with Ng Tianqing of the Khanate Devil sect. I think both Feng Qingshan and Feng Qingxue should be severely punished. This kind of meeting, even though 9th level and 10th level divine ability realm elders also participated, but generally speaking, they would not speak rashly. Severe punishment? Rui Zi. I think Hua Tiandu should be punished severely. Elder Tian Xing, who exuded an unapproachable aura, snorted coldly. Not only did he not protect the sect's disciples in front of outsiders, he even suppressed them time and time again. I think he has been the #1 heir disciple for too long. He thinks he is the sect's vice sect master. Elder Tian Xing, what you said is wrong. Hua Tiandu was ordered to rectify the sect. Even if he did not make any contributions, he must have worked hard. After what you said, who would dare to work for the sect in the future? Rui Zi did not speak, but an elder beside him, who was also an ancient giant, opened his mouth to refute. Using a chicken feather as a token to eradicate dissidents, is this hard work? As an heir disciple of the emergent sect, not only did he not protect the dignity of the sect, but he also sided with the Greater One sect. I don't think there is any need for such hard work. The scholarly elder technique imparting retorted calmly. For a moment, the group of people led by Ru Yitzi and the group led by Elder Tianxing went back and forth. They spoke eloquently and brilliantly, leaving the 9th and 10th layer elders speechless. Well, whether it is Feng Han or Hua Tiandu, credit or fault, we can talk about these things later. At this moment, the only female elder present spoke. What we need to discuss now is that Feng Qingshan sent Zhao Xuani and Song Wei into the Tai Yuan Immortal Mansion, as well as the possible accountability of the Greater One sect. This female elder was called Jiang Ruru. She had a delicate face and looked to be in her 20s. She wore a fur waistcoat and looked frail and sickly. She looked like a young lady who had never left her home. At first glance, one would think that she was the sickly Lin Daiyu. Who would have thought that she was actually an ancient giant, an immortal overlord, an existence who dominated the region? What else is there to talk about? Although Feng Qingshan sent Song Wei and Zhao Xuani into the Tai Yuan Immortal Mansion, didn't they also send Feng Han in first? I think we should make it 5. Let's not blame each other. Easy for you to say. If the Greater One sect was so easy to talk to, it would not be called the Greater One sect. If we don't do this, then what should we do? Hand over Feng Qingshan? How is that possible? Even if the disciples of the emergent sect are wrong, they can only punish themselves. How can they hand it over to outsiders? That's right. Even if we don't care about Feng Qingshue's face, Feng Qingshan himself can't even protect him. How can we hand him over? Don't say this again. If it gets out, it will disappoint the disciples. With Jiang Ruru's interruption, everyone finally talked about the handling of Feng Qingshan. This time, although there were still differences, they were much smaller. Even Ru Yitzi and the others could not be too obvious in suppressing them. After all, Feng Qingshan was already a true disciple of the Jindan stage, comparable to Dong Lingxiao and Nan Jianan. With a pure yang flying sword, a high-grade killing Dao weapon, he was even better than his sister Feng Qingxue. Especially in the battle with Hua Tiandu, he did not fall into a disadvantageous position. He had reached the Jindan stage, possessed 81 magical powers, and had the qualifications to become an immortal. With such talent, and having not made any monstrous mistakes, how could the sect not protect him, but punish him? But how should we deal with the Greater One sect? This was a problem that was urgently needed to be solved. Everyone discussed and discussed, but there was no way to satisfy both sides. After a long while, they all looked at the sect master Feng Baiyu, who had been listening quietly. Sect master, please make a decision. Fang Qingshan is a disciple of our emergent sect. Although he does things a little recklessly, in the end, it is to protect the dignity of the sect. In particular, his talent is excellent, even compared to Hua Tiandu. Once he grows up, he will definitely be the mainstay of our emergent sect. Feng Baiyu said slowly and unhurriedly, first settling the matter. Then he said, I used the 9 palace technique to calculate, and found that Feng Han's luck is at its peak, and he should not be dead yet. In addition to the request of Feng Qingxue and Feng Qingshan, I decided to go to the Tai Yuan Immortal Mansion first to see if I can rescue them. If they're all fine, naturally everyone will be happy. If they are unlucky, then give up some resources to apologize. What do the elders think? Some resources, I am afraid the Greater One sect will not let it go. Ru Yitzi said, pretending to be worried. When the time comes, I will go personally. You don't have to worry. Feng Baiyu took a deep look at him and said heroically, although our emergent sect is not as good as the Greater One sect, but we are not to be bullied at will. Chapter 186. I'm finally back, standing outside the Heaven's Gate and looking at the 100 direct inheritance peaks. Feng Qingshan couldn't help but let out a heartfelt sigh. Speaking of which, ever since he left the Ascension sect in the previous Mountain River List competition, he had traveled to the distant seas and then passed through the 3 kingdoms. All in all, adding up to a few years of time, it truly felt as though time had flown by. Young master, you're back. As soon as he stood still on the All Heavens peak, Fong Ling and Fong Qin ran over with pleasant surprise on their faces. Then, they saw Fong Qingxue beside them and hurriedly restrained their expressions and solemnly bowed. Greetings, eldest Mississippi. Although Fong Qingxue was not in the Fong clan, she was very dignified in the eyes of the Fong clan. Fong Ling and Fong Qin dared to act spoiled in front of him, but they didn't dare to act rashly in front of Fong Qingxue. Not bad, not bad. You're already at the 10th level of the fleshly body realm. Looks like you'll be able to reach the divine ability soon. Fong Qingshan nodded in satisfaction when he saw that his 2 maids could already use their mental power to create all sorts of illusions for their enemies. They had powerful mental power and were at the peak of the 10th level of the fleshly body realm. I'll get some medicinal pellets for you to reach the divine ability soon. At that time, take good care of the All Heavens peak for me. Fong Qingshan took a look. Compared to the 5 direct inheritance peaks in the east, west, south, and center, his All Heavens peak was much more deserted and gloomy. Although he didn't care much about these superficial things, and believed that strength was the foundation of everything, it was naturally the best to have both. And the reason why the All Heavens peak was in such dire straits, other than his absence, was also because Fong Ling and Fong Qin were only at the fleshly body realm. Therefore, whether it was to accumulate merits or to nurture talents, it seemed necessary to help Fong Ling and Fong Qin advance to the divine ability secret realm. Since Third Brother has said so, here are 2 gourds of foundation building pills. Take them. Right at that moment, Fong Qingxue spoke up. With a wave of her hand, she tossed out 2 purple gold gourds, which contained foundation building pills. These were mortal tier, peerless level pills. If one were to consume them frequently, it would not be difficult for them to step into the transcendent realm. This, Fong Ling and Fong Qin were no longer newbies. They naturally knew how precious this item was. They didn't dare to accept it immediately. Instead, they looked at Fong Qingshan. Since Big Sis is giving it to you, just accept it. Although this thing is good for you, it's nothing to us. Besides, you're also members of the Fong clan. Fong Qingshan waved his hand, gesturing for them to accept it. If it weren't for the fact that he had used up all the elixirs when he broke through to the Golden Core stage, and that he was caught up in the matter of the Tai Yuan Celestial Abode when he came back and had no time to refine elixirs, he wouldn't have needed Fong Qingxue's elixirs at all. Yes, young master. Thank you, young Mississippi. After receiving Fong Qingshan's approval, Fong Ling and Gu Shizhou happily took the pill gourd. After sending the 2 away, Fong Qingshan brought Fong Qingxue into the secret chamber. Sigh, I didn't expect third brother to have already cultivated to this level. Fang Qingxue finally had the time to take a good look and sighed. It's just an opportunity. Fang Qingshan chuckled. I'm just a step ahead. Big Sis has obtained the ancient Thunder Emperor's treasures. It's only a matter of time before she catches up. It's not that easy. Fang Qingxue couldn't help but shake her head with a bitter smile. Logically speaking, her cultivation speed wasn't slow. On the contrary, it was very fast. However, compared to Fang Qingshan and Fang Han, her cultivation speed was somewhat lacking. By the way, third brother, I saw that the thunder technique you used earlier was a bit different. What kind of divine ability was it? Fang Qingxue took the initiative to change the topic and asked curiously. She had obtained the ancient Thunder Emperor's legacy and was also the reincarnation of the Lightning Mother. In terms of thunder technique knowledge, almost no one would dare to say that they were the best if she said she was the second best. However, even with her knowledge and experience, she actually had no understanding of Fang Qingshan's great 5 elemental Tiangang thunder. This was truly surprising. I obtained the legacy of a senior golden immortal named Hisha Daoist, and I cultivated the 5 elements divine thunder. Fang Qingshan said a simple sentence, and then without waiting for Fang Qingxue to continue to ask, he took the initiative to explain the cultivation method of the 5 elements divine thunder. While talking, Fang Qingshan also released the 5 elements divine thunder. For a time, there was a thunder cloud above his head, divided into 5 directions, and the colors were divided into 5 colors. Among them, the thunder clouds shook one after another, crackling or colliding with each other, or fusing, promoting and restraining each other. It was mysterious and unusual. Good. After listening and looking at Fang Qingshan's 5 elements divine thunder, Fang Qingxue couldn't help but admire it again and again. The excitement on her face was overflowing, and her face was flushed with excitement. Although Fang Qingshan's 5 elements divine thunder was not as powerful as the thunder technique she obtained from the ancient Thunder Emperor or the Lightning Mother's memory. However, this was a thunder technique that was very different from all the thunder techniques in the current immortal world, but it also pointed directly to the Thunder Dao. If it fell into the hands of others like Fang Qingshan, it would only be used as a powerful magical technique, but it fell into the hands of Fang Qingxue, who entered the Dao with thunder. It was of great use. Therefore, even with Fang Qingxue's indifference, she couldn't help but be excited at the moment. What a good Daoist he Sha. If he doesn't die, he will become an immortal king. In this regard, Fang Qingshan could only shrug. He didn't know what realm Daoist Hisha had cultivated after ascending to the spiritual immortal realm. I have received such a great benefit from you. It seems that I have to show something. Fang Qingxue smiled. Big sister, you and I are a family. We are bound together for glory and loss. It's just a magical technique. Why do you say this? Fang Qingshan shook his head. Brothers are still clear about their accounts. Fang Qingxue chuckled, then said solemnly, For you, it's just a magical technique, but for me, if I can go further in the future, this technique will be indispensable. After that, Fang Qingxue ignored Fang Qingshan and said to herself, Your cultivation is now a step ahead of me. You have the inheritance of the golden immortal, and you have a Dao tool in your hand. Even Hua Tiandu can't do anything to you. It seems that it's really not easy to find a gift in return. Forget it. I will pass on the little destiny technique to you. After a while, Fang Qingxue said solemnly, What? Little destiny technique? Fang Qingshan, who was still dispensable, couldn't help but tremble when he heard this. Little destiny technique. This is the precursor of the appearance of the great destiny technique, which is ranked first in the 3,000 great Dao magical techniques. This technique can not only consume life as the price to condense a magical technique, but also attract the power of fate. It can devour other magical techniques to strengthen itself. In the immortal world, fate is the most mysterious thing. Mastering fate can not only restrain the other 2,999 great Daos, but also have the opportunity to enter the gate of eternal life. When cultivated to the extreme, it can even summon the real gate of eternal life to suppress and kill the enemy. Chapter 187. That's right, it's the little destiny art. Seeing Feng Qingshan's expression, Feng Qingxue mistakenly thought that he had never heard of it, so she explained, "This is a primordial mystic art that I obtained by chance during one of my travels. Neither the immortal Tao nor demonic Tao have such a technique. Although it is not within the ranks of the 3,000 great Tao mystic arts, its profoundness surpasses them. This mystic art can be condensed at the cost of one's lifespan, but it's best if you don't do that." Feng Qingxue reminded him solemnly. "Furthermore, this mystic art is a little sinister, so I'm not sure if you can learn it. Listen well." Feng Qingxue clasped her hands together and chanted a heavy song. It was like a song, yet not a song, like a curse, yet not a curse. It was as if there was a cry of fate, a moan. Feng Qingshan had never heard of such complicated syllables before, and felt a headache coming on. This little destiny art was not a mystic art in essence, but a mystic art. It only had a series of profound syllables, and no specific cultivation method. It could only be understood but not conveyed. It all depended on one's own comprehension and comprehension. If one comprehended it, they would learn it. If not, they would not even be able to remember it. After Feng Qingxue finished reciting the syllables, she saw Feng Qingshan frown, as if he had not learned anything. She could not help but shake her head, thinking to herself, "It seems like cultivating this mystic art really depends on fate." Actually, Feng Qingshan's comprehension was not bad. In the past, be it cultivating the sequential heaven 5 elemental qi or the pure yang sword art, he had quickly grasped them. But this time, cultivating the little destiny art did not seem to be suitable for him. He tried his best to listen and remember, but when he thought about it, he could not remember anything. "Sai, if it's meant to be, then it's meant to be. If it's not meant to be, then don't force it." Feng Qingshan sighed. Just as he was about to give up, something strange happened. In his sea of consciousness, other than when Feng Qingshan transmigrated, or when he activated his imperial sensor, or when he was blessed by fate, the usually silent all-heaven chessboard suddenly moved at this moment. Boundless splendor blossomed. Auspicious light and auspicious qi, purple qi and golden dragons. Heavenly flowers fell in disorder, and golden lotuses appeared on the ground. Heaven Dragon, Mount Shu, the Three Kingdoms, Eternal Life, the Sovereign Lord, and many other worlds that had already been opened appeared. A chant of destiny resounded in Feng Qingshan's mind. Those who sink into fate, your soul will never be free. The power of destiny was all-conquering. Even the eternal time and torrential flow of time could not compare to the power of destiny. In the name of fate, I destroy. Fate was everywhere. Even if the world was destroyed, fate still existed. Those who tried to defy fate would suffer eternal imprisonment and death. Eternal destiny lingered in the darkness and light, and no one could escape its grasp. It was the master of eternity, and those who went against destiny would be eternally imprisoned. Feng Qingshan could not comprehend the little destiny art. Although Feng Qingxue was not disappointed, she still felt a little regretful. But suddenly she saw Feng Qingshan stunned, and his whole person seemed to fall into a state of epiphany. Feng Qingxue could not help but be surprised. As expected of the Feng family's Qilin son, seeing Feng Qingshan gradually entering a good state, Feng Qingxue could not help but sigh sincerely. What a good little destiny art. It is indeed a secret technique related to the most mysterious and profound great destiny art in the immortal world. After a long while, Feng Qingshan opened his eyes and could not help but sigh in his heart. He was about to give up, but he did not expect to turn around, and the all-heaven chessboard actually moved on its own. This time, not only did he successfully comprehend this powerful secret technique, but even the all-heaven chessboard seemed to have grown a little. This is amazing. The all-heaven chessboard is the condensation of destiny after the era of Feng Qingshan's world, the age of Dharma ending. This door is a supreme treasure. When it grows up, it will definitely not be weaker than the gate of eternal life. In the past, there was no other way to make the all-heaven chessboard move and refine except for destiny, but he did not expect that there would be another way today. In fact, there is nothing strange about it. The all-heaven chessboard is a treasure of destiny. Although destiny is not the same as destiny, there is actually an inseparable love between the two. With a strong destiny, it is natural to turn bad luck into good luck, and fate is naturally favored. With a shallow destiny, it is natural to drink cold water. People sit at home, disaster comes from the sky, and they are abandoned by destiny. It seems that if I can find some treasures with destiny and destiny in the future, I can also speed up the growth of the all-heaven chessboard. Fang Qingshan thought, "Congratulations, third brother. I did not expect you to really comprehend this secret technique." Seeing Fang Qingshan open his eyes, Fang Qingxue could not help but congratulate him. "This is really unexpected. I was about to give up, but I did not expect my luck to change. In the end, I really did comprehend it," Fang Qingshan said with a smile. Hearing that, Fang Qingxue shook her head. In her opinion, there is nothing to be surprised about. This minor destiny technique contains the power of destiny. If he can comprehend it, it is naturally destined. However, she still warned him solemnly, "Third brother, you are talented and have a bright future. Unless it is absolutely necessary, use the minor destiny technique sparingly. Don't worry, big sis. I understand." Fang Qingshan nodded. Dong, dong, dong. At this moment, a large bell in the secret chamber suddenly rang. It was pleasant to the ears. This was to prevent him from being rudely interrupted while he was in seclusion. "What is it?" Fang Qingshan waved his hand and opened the door of the secret room. Seeing Fang Qin standing outside, he could not help but ask curiously, "Young master, second miss is here, and she brought a guest." Fang Qin said, "Oh, second sister is here. It seems that she has also received the news of our return." Fang Qingshan nodded. "Big sis, let's go together. Let's go." When Fang Qingshan and Fang Qingxue arrived at the hall, they saw Fang Qingwei talking to a man in black. "Second sister, Qingwei, big sis, third brother." The three of them greeted each other when they saw each other. "Oh, let me introduce." Fang Qingwei pointed to the man in black and introduced, "This is an overseas wandering cultivator, Mr. Ling Huan, a good friend of mine. Don't look at him just because he is a wandering cultivator. His cultivation has reached the celestial being realm, and he is elegant and knowledgeable. Today, he heard that third brother fought to a draw with Hua Tiandu, so he specially came to visit." Overseas wandering cultivator Ling Huan greets Taoist Qingshan and Fang Taoist. With Fang Qingwei's introduction, Taoist Ling Huan bowed to Fang Qingshan and Fang Qingxue and said with emotion, "Two Taoist names resound like thunder in my ears. Now that I have met you, I feel even more famous." Fang Qingxue was neither an acquaintance nor a relative, so she had a cold expression on her face. She nodded lightly and returned the bow without saying a word. Fang Qingshan could only take over the topic and said modestly, "You flatter me, Mr. Ling Huan. A mere name is not worth mentioning. On the other hand, it is admirable that you have cultivated to the celestial being realm as a wandering cultivator." Chapter 188. Why did so many people want to join a large sect instead of being a rogue cultivator? The reason was very simple. It was good to enjoy the shade under a big tree. Just like this time, Fang Qingshan killed two Jidan true disciples of the Greater One sect. If he was not a true disciple of the emergent sect, with the overbearingness of the Greater One sect, he would have been blasted into pieces immediately. Other than that, it was not easy for rogue cultivators. Generally speaking, if a rogue cultivator could break through the physical body and advance to the divine power, it was already a blessing from the heavens. But if one could turn the fake into the real and cultivate true qi and gang qi, then one would already be famous among the rogue cultivators, just like how Fang Qingshan had killed the Lord of Suicide Island. There were very few rogue cultivators who could cultivate to the celestial being realm. However, those who could cultivate to this level with the help of rogue cultivators could not be underestimated. They were either the pride of the heavens, or they were blessed with great fortune. They must have obtained some kind of secret inheritance, the legacy of ancient immortals. Therefore, both Fang Qingshan and Fang Qingxue were very respectful to Mr. Ling Huan. This was not only because he was introduced by Fang Qingwei, but also because he was a rogue cultivator, but he had such cultivation, which was worthy of their respect. For a moment, the four of them began to chat about all kinds of things. The more they talked, the more familiar they became, and the more Fang Qingshan felt that there was something wrong with Mr. Ling Huan. Although it was said that nobles, and generals were born with courage, and heroes were born without question, he was too outstanding. When Fang Qingwei introduced him as an elegant and knowledgeable person, it was not flattery. Compared to him, Fang Qingshan felt a little ashamed, especially when he knew many ancient secrets like the back of his hand. Interesting. Fang Qingshan and Fang Qingxue looked at each other and saw a trace of strangeness in each other's eyes, but they restrained themselves and continued to chat with Mr. Ling Huan. "Sai, Taoist, you are indeed the one who fought to a draw with the number one true disciple of your sect. In the future, the emergent sect will respect you." Mr. Ling Huan sighed sincerely. "Taoist, you flatter me. Compared to Hua Tiandu, I still have a lot of room for improvement." Fang Qingshan shook his head and said modestly, "Huh? Hua Tiandu? Mr. Ling Huan?" A thought suddenly flashed through Fang Qingshan's mind. He seemed to have thought of something, but he couldn't grasp it. Third brother, third brother." Suddenly, he heard Fang Qingwei's voice. What happened? Coming back to his senses, Fang Qingshan saw that she rolled her eyes at him speechlessly and couldn't help but ask, "What are you thinking about?" "Spiritual Taoist bids you farewell," Fang Qingwei said. "Oh, I'm sorry, I was thinking about something else just now. Please forgive me for my negligence, Taoist." Fang Qingshan apologized to Mr. Ling Huan. "Taoist, you're exaggerating." Mr. Ling Huan waved his hand nonchalantly, then said, "This humble Taoist is as free as the clouds and wild cranes. I'm used to gathering herbs and refining pills from all over the place. This time, I've exchanged some pills from your esteemed sex Dongling Shao. It's time for me to take my leave." "Exchange pills? Mr. Ling Huan, Hua Tiandu?" Fang Qingshan shuddered. The flash of inspiration in his mind quickly connected all the pieces together. He finally remembered who Mr. Ling Huan was. "Third brother, what's wrong?" Even Fang Qingxue couldn't stand it anymore when she saw Fang Qingshan falling into deep thought again. "He was talking to you, but you were minding your own business. This was a very rude thing to do." Fang Qingwei frowned slightly. After all, she was the one who introduced Taoist Ling Huan. "I didn't expect Taoist to be Mr. Ling Huan. Moreover, he actually dared to openly appear in my emergent sect, in my All Heavens Peak, and in front of me. Should I say that you're bold because of your skills? Or do you not know the immensity of heaven and earth?" Fang Qingshan waved his hand and ignored Fang Qingxue and Fang Qingwei. Instead, he looked at Mr. Ling Huan with a faint smile. "Third brother, what are you saying? This is too much." Fang Qingwei clearly didn't know what Fang Qingshan was talking about, but the disrespect in her tone was obvious. She immediately expressed her dissatisfaction. Fang Qingxue, on the other hand, was more accepting of Fang Qingshan's reaction because she had previously suspected Mr. Ling Huan, just like Fang Qingshan. Could it be that he's heard of Mr. Ling Huan's name before, and he's not a good person? Fang Qingxue thought. Out of everyone present, only Mr. Ling Huan's heart skipped a beat. He carefully recalled his behavior since he met Fang Qingshan. He didn't seem to have any flaws. Thousands of thoughts raced through his mind, but he didn't show it on his face. He merely frowned and said, "What does Taoist mean? Didn't I already say that I'm Ling Huan?" "Yes, you said a long time ago." Fang Qingshan nodded. "If I hadn't vaguely heard your name somewhere, I'm afraid I would have been deceived by you today." Third brother. Fang Qingwei was about to say something, but her eldest sister, Fang Qingxue, pulled her back. Shut up, listen to third brother. But Fong Qingwei was about to retort, but Fong Qingxue cut her off. There are no buts. Fong Qingxue's influence was too strong, and Fong Qingwei didn't dare to argue back. She reluctantly shut her mouth and glared at Fong Qingshan. What is Daoist saying? I don't understand, Mr. Ling Huan said unhappily. You don't understand. All right, I'll tell you one that you can understand. Fong Qingshan calmly spat out the two words, protas. Yes, this Mr. Ling Huan was from the divine race, and not just any divine race. He was a divine lord of the divine race. Fong Qingshan didn't think of him at first, but after listening to his self-introduction, he was a wandering cultivator from overseas, a celestial being, comparable to an orthodox sect. Fong Qingwei's friend suddenly remembered a divine lord of the divine race who had sneaked into the emergent sect. Hearing the words divine race, Fong Qingwei was still confused, but Fong Qingshue's expression changed drastically. She knew about the god race. This race was born with incomparably tyrannical strength. They were born with powers and had a strong physique. Of course, if that was all, it wouldn't be a big deal. But this race wasn't just born strong. More importantly, there was almost nothing in the world that could restrain them. They didn't need to go through any cultivation to become stronger. The older the divine race, the stronger they were. They also wouldn't die of old age, and there was no limit to their lifespan. If that was the case, people would only be envious and jealous of them. Most importantly, not only were they blessed by the heavens, they also had great ambitions. They wanted to rule the world. 10,000 years ago, they invaded and almost wiped out the immortal path, the demon path, and the demon path. They even caused countless ancient wars. The original body of the world tree inside Fong Qingshan's body was cut off by one of the divine race, cutting off the path of celestial being and the path of immortal ascension. The divine race was the common enemy of the world, and everyone had the right to kill them. This was why Fong Qingshue's expression changed so much. She didn't think that one day a divine race member would sit in front of her and talk so happily. Chapter 189. Fong Qingxue did not suspect that Fong Qingshan had made a mistake or that he was lying. It was fine even if he had made a mistake. He would rather kill the wrong person than let the wrong person go. The celestial race was the common enemy of all living things in the world. As for lying, Fong Qingshan would not speak carelessly about such matters. There was no need for him to do so. Mr. Ling Huan was brought here by Fong Qingwei. If he was not a true celestial race, Fong Qingshan would not hold it against him even if he had a grudge against him. As for Mr. Ling Huan, he could not hold it in any longer. His mind was shaken. He did not expect Fong Qingshan to discover his true identity. However, he would not give up until he reached the Yellow River, and he would not turn back until he hit the southern wall. He really felt that he had not revealed any flaws and felt that he could still persist for a while. Therefore, there was a trace of anger and confusion on his face. God race? Other than immortals, demons, and demons, there is such a race in the universe? There is no need to hide it. Fong Qingshan said calmly, no matter how well you perform, as long as I am certain, everything else will be for naught. If I say you are, you are. If you're not, you are. That's right. Since you're a celestial race, I would rather kill the wrong person than let the wrong person go. Fong Qingshue's cold voice rang out. Good. What a great Ascension sect. What a great Fong family. I came here because of your fame, but now I am in such a predicament. If I do not die today, I will definitely expose myself to the world. Mr. Ling Huan seemed to know that he could not escape today. He was filled with grief. Big sister, third brother, you. Fong Qingwei could not stand it anymore. She stepped out from the crowd and wanted to say something, but at that moment, something strange happened. Mr. Ling Huan's aura suddenly changed and rose steadily. It was as if Pandora's box had been opened, his entire being transformed along with it. And it was as if a suit of bone armor had grown over his skin. Although he looked like a demon, there was no demonic chi on him. On the contrary, his body emitted a noble and holy aura, as if he was a superior race that ruled over all humans, demons, immortals, and demons. Following that, Mr. Ling Huan appeared in front of Fong Qingwei in a flash and reached out to grab her. In truth, when Fong Qingshan mentioned the divine race, Mr. Spirit Phantom had already felt that things were not looking good. Later on, Fong Qingshan and Fong Qingshue's decisiveness cut off his last thought. Now that things had developed to this point, Mr. Ling Huan had no choice but to run for his life. Because Fong Qingshan and Fong Qingxue were not easy to deal with. Fong Qingxue was the reincarnation of the Lightning Mother. She wielded the inextinguishable lightning, a Tao artifact. Although she was no longer as strong as before, she could still buy some time. Fong Qingshan was even more impressive. As a golden core cultivator, he was able to fight Hua Tiandu to a draw. Although Mr. Ling Huan was a divine sovereign of the god race, and his divine power was enough to crush immortals, humans, Yao, and devils, he didn't dare say that he could defeat Fong Qingshan. Most importantly, this was the all-heavens peak, the Ascension sect. If their battle caused too much of a ruckus, it would definitely attract the attention of the longevity demons of the Ascension sect. When that happened, Mr. Ling Huan would not be able to escape. It was at that moment that Fong Qingwei stepped forward. It was a heaven-sent opportunity. Mr. Ling Huan's body flashed, wanting to capture her and use her as a hostage. When that happened, Fong Qingshan and Fong Qingxue would have no other choice but to not let Mr. Ling Huan go. The thought was beautiful, but the reality was cruel. Although Fong Qingshan and Fong Qingxue did not expect Fong Qingwei to step forward at that moment, their attention had been locked onto Mr. Ling Huan the entire time. Pull one hair and the whole body will move. Mr. Ling Huan had only just made his move when Fong Qingshan and Fong Qingxue followed suit. It is predestined. Everything is predestined. The power of fate is omnipresent. No one can escape its grasp. Those who go against fate will surely be imprisoned for eternity. At this moment, a deep, ancient, and serene incantation that seemed to carry the power of destiny resounded loudly. Little destiny art. Ever since she found out that Mr. Ling Huan was a divine, Fong Qingxue knew that she had to give it her all. The divine race had always dominated the other races. Now that Mr. Ling Huan had revealed his divinity realm cultivation, she did not dare to let her guard down. Fortunately, Fong Qingxue had used little destiny art. Otherwise, he might really have caught Fong Qingwei. If that happened, the two of them would have to hold back for fear of harming Fong Qingwei. As soon as the incantation was recited, the power of fate descended. Although the divine race was favored by the heavens and dominated all living beings, they still could not break free from the shackles of fate. Like other immortals, demons, and demons, they were all trapped by fate. Just as Mr. Ling Huan was about to grab Fong Qingwei, his hand suddenly stopped in midair. Mr. Ling Huan's eyes went blank, as if his entire body had been wrapped up by an invisible force. His eyes were filled with an endless blur, as if he was lost in the memories of 1,000 lifetimes, or as if he had seen through his own destiny. Limitless pure yang, slay demons with a sword. Then, Fong Qingshan's voice rang out. A white light flashed in midair, and Mr. Ling Huan's body was split into two. Blood splattered everywhere. Heaven's Ward sword technique. Combined with the pure yang flying sword, it took Mr. Ling Huan's life with one strike. Go! Then, Fong Qingshan threw the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma in his hand. It turned into an inescapable net that bound Mr. Ling Huan's body and pulled it into the 5 Hell Kings cauldron. Phew! At that moment, Fong Qingxue and Fong Qingshan could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. Big sister, are you all right? Seeing that Fong Qingxue's face was a little pale, Fong Qingshan asked with concern. I'm fine. Fong Qingxue shook her head. Fortunately, she had used little destiny art. Otherwise, she might not have been able to trap Mr. Ling Huan for a while. However, although little destiny art was powerful, it also had severe side effects. If it were not for the fact that Mr. Ling Huan was a member of the celestial race and had a high cultivation level, Fang Qingxue would not have used it. However, with Fang Qingshan's help, the effect was naturally perfect. Mr. Ling Huan, a divine lord of the celestial race, could not resist at all. He did not even have time to use his trump card before they suppressed him. Big sister, third brother, what's going on? At that moment, Fang Qingwei finally came back to her senses. She was still a little scared and asked in confusion. You're still asking us, but I haven't asked you yet. What's going on with this Mr. Ling Huan? How did you get involved with him? Do you know that if people find out, not only you, but the entire Fang family will be in trouble? Fang Qingxue could not help but feel angry when she saw Fang Qingwei's confused expression. All right, second sister, it's like this. Fang Qingshan stopped Fang Qingxue on account of how Fang Qingwei had taken care of him back then. He told Fang Qingwei everything that had happened. Chapter 190. Then what should we do? Will there be any problems? Hearing Fang Qingshan tell the story of the divine race in detail, Fang Qingwei immediately knew that the matter was serious. She was not a brainless person. On the contrary, even though she could not compare to Fang Qingxue, she was still a heroine among women, not losing to men. It was just that her luck and fortuitous encounters were not as good as Fang Qingshan and Fang Qingxue. Since the god race was the common enemy of the world, she was actually a good friend of this god race divine monarch. She even led him to the emergent sect. If this were to be known, not only would she die, but the Fang family would also be annihilated. After all, Fang Qingshan and Fang Qingxue had said that everyone had the right to kill the divine race. They would rather kill the wrong person than let the wrong person go. This was especially true with the rise of Fang Qingxue, Fang Qingshan, and Fang Han. Of the 4 true disciples in the sect, aside from Fang Qingshan, the other 3 were all extremely famous. They were among the top true disciples, and had long since become the tallest tree in the forest. If the matter of the divine race was exposed, Fang Qingwei's life would be dark just thinking about it. Now you know fear? You don't even know who you're making friends with. Fang Qingxue snorted coldly. All right, big sister, if I didn't happen to hear about this Mr. Ling Huan, I would have been fooled by him. It's normal that you don't know. Fang Qingshan first helped Fang Qingwei, then comforted her. Second sister, don't worry. Mr. Ling Huan has been killed by us. As long as we report to the sect, not only will we not be at fault, we will also be rewarded. Heaven's punishment platform. After Fang Qingshan and Fang Qingxue exchanged a few words, they went straight to this place. After passing through layers of pavilions, they arrived at the Huayu building and stopped in front of an extremely tall hall. The hall was towering, and there were 3,600 jade steps below. One had to climb the hall step by step to reach the hall. Especially on the 2 sides of the white jade stairs, there were countless knives, axes, hooks, ropes, swords, spears, halberds, pikes, hammers, iron chains, shackles, wolf-tooth clubs, crescent spades, and thousands of other weapons. Every weapon was very big, at least 10 times bigger than ordinary weapons. At first glance, it seemed like they had arrived in a world where giants lived. However, upon closer inspection, it gave off an incomparably solemn, and murderous feeling. This was the Heaven's Punishment Hall, where the Heaven's Punishment Platform was located. It was managed by Elder Heaven's Punishment from the secret realm of immortality. Elder Tian Xing was in charge of the sect's punishment. Apart from the sect master in the emergent sect, even the vice sect master could not compare to him. Fang Qingshan originally wanted to see the sect master and report to him about the god race. But the sect master had left the emergent sect and went to Tai Yuan Immortal Mansion to rescue Fang Han. Therefore, Fang Qingshan settled for the next best thing and came to the Heaven's Punishment Hall to find Elder Tian Xing. This was also the first time Fang Qingshan came to the Heaven Punishment Hall. What greeted him was a murderous aura. Since the establishment of the emergent sect, it was unknown how many people with tyrannical spiritual power had been killed and how they traversed the heavens. If it was someone else, they would have lost or weakened their courage before being interrogated. Disciple Fang Qingshan requests to see Elder Tian Xing. Fong Qingshan came to the door of the hall and said respectfully, "This was not an act, but a reverence for power." "Why is he here?" Elder Tian Xing, who had just returned from a meeting in the depths of the Emergence Heavenly Palace, raised his eyebrows and was curious. He had a deep impression of Fong Qingshan. After all, when Fong Qingshan broke through to the divine secret realm, he sensed 2 upper-grade Dao weapons from his body. Now, not long after, his cultivation had skyrocketed and broken through to the gold core realm. Moreover, it was a gold core realm with the potential to become an immortal. His combat power was even close to Hua Tiandu's. "Come in." Elder Tian Xing waved his hand, and the door of the Heaven's Punishment Hall slowly opened. He wanted to hear what Fong Qingshan wanted to see him for at this time. "Greetings, Elder Tian Xing." Fong Qingshan strolled into the Heaven's Punishment Hall and saw a young man with black hair and a white face without a beard sitting in front of him. "No need to be so polite." Elder Tian Xing waved his hand. "Brat, you are truly blessed. After 3 days, you will be looked at in a new light. You are indeed sincere. How long has it been? You have actually grown to this level. As expected, there are talented people in every generation, and they will lead the way for hundreds of years." "Elder, you flatter me. It was just a coincidence," Fong Qingshan said modestly. "You..." Elder Tian Xing pointed at Fong Qingshan and shook his head with a smile. He did not say anything else, but asked, "Oh right, why did you come to find me this time?" "Elder, please shield the surroundings." Hearing Elder Tian Xing's question, Fong Qingshan's expression immediately became solemn as he cupped his hands. Elder Tian Xing, who was originally a little lazy, saw this. His expression immediately changed, and he became solemn. For Fong Qingshan to be so serious, he was definitely not making a mountain out of a molehill. He did not think that Fong Qingshan was joking with him. The matter of the Supreme Sect had not been resolved perfectly, but looking at Fong Qingshan's expression, it seemed that there was another troublesome problem. Elder Tian Xing could not help but be worried. He cast out a technique, and in an instant, the entire Heaven's Punishment Hall shook, and many restrictions appeared. What Fong Qingshan did not expect was that the Heaven's Punishment Hall was actually a Dao artifact, and a peerless Dao artifact at that. However, thinking about it, it was not surprising. After all, this place had once suppressed countless experts. How could it not have great power? "All right, speak," Elder Tian Xing said after activating the restrictions of the hall. "Elder, please use your mana to isolate the surroundings." Fong Qingshan shook his head. "All right." Elder Tian Xing's body shook, and he took a deep look at Fong Qingshan. He cast a ray of mana, wrapping him and Fong Qingshan up. Seeing this, Fong Qingshan nodded. Without another word, he took out the 5 Hell King's cauldron and with a wave of his hand, threw out Mr. Ling Huan's corpse, which was wrapped in the 5 Cloud Peach flower miasma. The extraterritorial god clan. Seeing the item that Fong Qingshan took out so solemnly, Elder Tian Xing frowned at first, but after a closer look, he suddenly turned pale with fright. Even with his state of mind, he could not remain calm. Like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, his hair stood on end, and he screamed out loud. "How is this possible? The God Clan has appeared again. Where did you see it? Does anyone else know? Are there other God Clans?" Elder Tian Xing asked several questions in one breath. "At the Emergence Sect," Fong Qingshan said. "What? The Emergence Sect?" Elder Tian Xing's heart, which had not yet calmed down, almost jumped out of his throat. He did not expect that the God Clan had already gotten so close to him. Was there anything more shocking than this? This is what happened. Fong Qingshan told Elder Tian Xing everything from beginning to end. "Don't tell anyone else about this. Tell Fong Qingxue and Mr. Ling Huan to keep their mouths shut. I'll go see the highest elder now." With that, Elder Tian Xing waved his hand, took Mr. Ling Huan's corpse, and disappeared in an instant. Chapter 191. After telling Elder Tianxing about the Protoss, Fong Qingshan returned to the All-Heavens Peak. Although the great calamity of the Protoss was troublesome, if the sky fell, there would be tall people to hold it up. There was no need for Fong Qingshan to worry. What he had to do now was to work hard to improve his strength. Now that his cultivation had broken through to the Golden Core realm, the next step would be the great trial of wind and fire. This was a test of heaven and earth. It was a tribulation triggered by the inner demons and vitality of the cultivator. It was emitted from the Golden Core. The wind was the black nightmare dragon wind, and nightmare was the meaning of a nightmare. As the name implied, the black nightmare dragon wind was able to cause one to unknowingly fall into a deep sleep with a single gust of wind, and one would be reduced to ashes in their dreams. It was truly formidable. The fire was the karmic fire of the Red Lotus. This was the most terrifying fire in the world. Even sages were unwilling to touch it. The greater the negative karma, the more powerful the karmic fire of the Red Lotus. If the negative karma did not dissipate, the fire would not stop. The only nemesis was probably merit. With Fong Qingshan's current golden core, mystiques, and spiritual power, he would be at a disadvantage if he was not prepared for the power of the great trial of wind and fire. For Fong Qingshan, he had the Tree of World and the All-Heavens chessboard in his mind. The Black Nightmare Dragon Wind should not be too much a problem. The main problem was the karmic fire of the Red Lotus. He had gone through many worlds, especially in order to gather fate and unify the world. He had killed blood chi, and the incense was poisonous. Although he had purified it, there might still be karma accumulated. To eliminate negative karma, one could only use merit to purify it. However, merit was not easy to obtain unless one had done great deeds. Otherwise, one could only imitate the cultivators of Shushan and accumulate external powers over a long period of time. There was another way, and that was to let the karmic fire burn all the negative karma. However, for this method, one had to first be able to endure the burning process. Otherwise, once the karmic fire started, it would not stop until it burned out. To persist, one had to have a vast amount of spiritual power. Other than elixirs, Fong Qingshan's Tree of World was actually a very good choice. After devouring the 9-section staff, the Tree of World had grown into a small tree. However, in order to increase the output of spiritual power, Fong Qingshan felt that it was better to increase the power of the Tree of World. In order to increase the power of the World Tree, apart from water and soil, it was the World Tree Fragment. Although Fong Qingshan knew about the spirit water treasured soil that could enhance the World Tree, it was not easy to obtain it. As for the fragment of the World Tree, in addition to the one obtained at the Myriad Gwyn's Immortal Island Sea Market, Fong Qingshan remembered that there seemed to be one in the Great Xian Empire's Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion. However, before going to the Great Xian Empire, Fong Qingshan went to the Hall of Inheritance once more and presented the various divine arts he had obtained from killing the 7-leaf demon monarch, Mr. Ling Huan, and the others. Of course, it wasn't free. The sect wouldn't take something from a disciple for free. Fong Qingshan exchanged all of them for elixirs and crystals so that he would be short of money when he went to Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion. Actually, Fong Qingshan had obtained the Darkhan dynasty's accumulation of hundreds of years and plundered the Three Kingdoms world. He had quite a lot of good stuff on him. However, it wasn't that he couldn't take these things out for exchange, but that he couldn't bear to exchange them. After all, there were still some differences between the Three Kingdoms and the immortal world. He was afraid of causing trouble, and Fong Qingshan was naturally reluctant to take out a Dao weapon like the Dragon Slayer sword. Fortunately, Mr. Ling Huan was a demon monarch of the divine race and was rich, which allowed Fong Qingshan to make a lot of money. With 100,000 strings of coins around his waist, he went to the Great Xian Empire. After making the preparations, Fong Qingshan left the Emergence sect with a 5-cloud peach flower miasma and rushed straight to the Great Xian Empire. A long rainbow of 5 colors crossed the void and disappeared in a flash. He didn't speak along the way, and on this day, he finally arrived at the Great Xian Empire. Looking from afar at the end of the horizon, there was a piece of white. The closer he flew, the more he saw that the white was actually a city wall. The city wall was as tall as a few hundred people. It was pure white and spotless. Inside the city wall, tall buildings rose from the ground. Upon closer inspection, one could see that in the city, the roads extended in all directions, the people coming and going, the traffic was endless. In particular, the people here all had a cultivation base, and at least were at the third or fourth layer of the mortal body realm, comprehending the realm of hardness and softness. Their flesh was really inferior to a dog, and their magical powers were everywhere. This was very frightening. It should be known that the Great Xian Empire had a population of more than hundreds of millions. With so many people, it was a huge force. It was no wonder that the Greater One sect could stand as the number one sect in the mysterious Yellow Great World. The Great Xian Empire was a very important cornerstone, not only because of the population and reserve forces, but also because the Great Xian Empire was the same market as the myriad returning Immortal Island. The daily trading volume here reached a terrifying figure, so that the disciples of the Greater One sect, who talked about killing demons all year round, turned a blind eye when they saw demons coming here, as long as they did not cause trouble. If this place was destroyed, the Greater One sect would immediately have a big problem. However, although many people were jealous of the benefits here, no one dared to take the risk, and all this was because the Greater One sect had the strength to suppress the world. If there's a chance, maybe I should also open up a market, Fong Qing said to himself. Although killing and arson was a golden belt, but how could it compare to sitting on the ground and collecting money? It was both stable and endless, and it was not a long stream, but a rolling river. But to achieve this, he first had to improve his own strength, or else wealth would move people's hearts. Without overwhelming strength, he would only be working for others. Suppressing the thoughts in his heart, Fong Qing slightly changed his appearance and aura. After all, he had just killed 2 Golden Core true disciples. If he appeared openly and was discovered by the Greater One sect, he most likely would not be able to escape. Entering the city, Fong Qing did not need to ask. After a little stroll, he found the Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion because he stood out too much. Although the other shops were decorated magnificently and were not the slightest bit inferior to the imperial palace of an empire. But the Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion was particularly outstanding. It occupied an area of more than 10 miles, with red walls and green tiles. At the entrance, there were 2 blood jade cheilants as tall as several people, and 2 teams of divine transformation realm guards stood on both sides. In and out of the entrance were cultivators of the divine secret realm, and there were many golden core realm masters. Seeing this, Fong Qing could not help but secretly nod his head. He stepped in, and soon a woman came up to greet him. There was a faint green on her eyebrows, and it was unknown whether it was natural or because of cultivation. Looking at her cultivation, she was unexpectedly a divine secret realm master. Junior Liu may greet Senior. Senior looks a bit unfamiliar. Is this the first time you've come to my Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion? The green-browed woman respectfully asked Fong Qing, but it was because Fong Qing did not conceal his cultivation. That's right. Fong Qing nodded lightly. Chapter 192. It's better to come at the right time than to come early. Senior, you really came today. Lume smiled sweetly. Oh, why? Fong Qing asked curiously. Today is the quarterly auction of Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion. There are a lot of good things. Senior, this trip will be worthwhile. Lume explained. It seems that it is really a coincidence. Fong Qing smiled. Yes, this is the invitation to the VIP seats. Please accept it. Lume handed over an invitation with both hands. The invitation was made of pure gold, and the words on it were made of cold iron. There were waves of Dharma power. It was actually a celestial artifact, which was hard to fake. That's thoughtful of you. Fong Qing nodded in satisfaction. Then, Senior, please come with me. Hearing this, the smile on Lu Mei's face deepened. Fong Qing had the cultivation of the golden elixir realm. He was a big customer. If he was satisfied, he could buy anything and he would benefit a lot. Fang Qingshan followed Liu Mei to the auction house of Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion. A trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. Good Lord, what a big deal. They actually used a celestial artifact as the auction house. Yes, this auction house was actually a celestial artifact. Although it was only a low-grade celestial artifact and could not be compared to the Great Punishment Hall, it was still valuable. No wonder Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion was one of the 3 largest chambers of commerce in the Dacian Empire. Even celestial artifacts could be bought and sold. It seems that Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion is very powerful. Fang Qingshan thought. According to the records of the various worlds, Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion was a mysterious organization. No one knew where its headquarters was. There were immortal Dao and devil Dao, but they did not do evil. They specialized in the trading of celestial artifacts, celestial materials, and earthly treasures. They had a lot of resources and had existed for thousands of years. This pavilion is probably not worse than the big immortal sects. Senior, please. Seeing that Fang Qingshan was shocked, Liu Mei could not help but laugh in her heart. He led Fang Qingshan to a separate room. Although Fang Qingshan was shocked, it was only a slight shock. In the eyes of others, Dao artifacts were very precious. However, to Fang Qingshan, they were just SOSO. He alone possessed 3 Dao artifacts. In particular, the 2 pure Yang flying swords were high-grade killing weapons. After Liu Mei led Fang Qingshan into the private room, she left. Fang Qingshan stood by the window and looked outside. There was an arena-like area. It was huge and could accommodate hundreds of thousands of people. Moreover, it was already filled with people. The popularity was terrifying. I didn't expect Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion's quarterly auction to attract so many people. Fang Qingshan could not help but sigh. However, he did not know that Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion would have a secret treasure in every auction. It would not be revealed until the last moment. Whether it was a magic treasure, a pill, or a magical power, no matter which one it was very precious. Usually it was hard to get it. Therefore, whenever there was an auction, many people would come here to have a look as long as they had nothing important to do, so as not to miss the opportunity. Dong, dong, dong. At this moment, the door of the private room was knocked. Fang Qingshan could not help but raise his eyebrows. He opened the door and saw a woman from Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion standing outside with a group of people. The leader was a man wearing a royal robe with a jade crown on his head. Looking at his appearance, he seemed to be a prince in the secular world, but his strength was extremely tyrannical. He was also an expert in the divine power's 6th consolidation realm. A strong, explosive force emerged from the body of the few followers who followed him. Their mana was faintly discernible. They were all experts in the divine power's secret realm. What's going on? Fang Qingshan glanced at them. Not to mention the consolidation realm. Even the golden core Dharma idol was nothing in his eyes. He set his eyes on the woman who was leading the way from Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion. Taoist is... The woman from Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion had just opened her mouth when she was interrupted by the follower beside the prince. I have my eyes on the prince for this private room. You can leave. Taoist, this is Prince Shuo of the Great Xian Empire. This is the last private room. What do you think? Although the woman from Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion was a little embarrassed by the interruption, she did not refute. Instead, she pointed out the identity of the person who had come, hoping to make Fang Qingshan back off. After all, this time they had done something a little wrong. It was just that the origin of this person was unknown. Although his cultivation was not bad, compared to the prince of the Great Xian Empire, there was no need to mention who he would side with. Interesting. Fang Qingshan did not expect that this kind of private room snatching thing would actually happen to him. He asked with a faint smile, "What if I don't want to? How dare you? My prince has taken a liking to it, and you actually dare to not give it to him. Believe it or not, once you leave Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion, the Great Xian Empire will not allow you to leave." The follower who spoke earlier continued to threaten. "I thought you would dare to directly make a move in Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion, so you still have to wait for me to leave. In that case, wait until I leave." As he spoke, Fang Qingshan turned around and closed the door with a bang. You. The follower obviously did not expect that Fang Qingshan would actually not play by the rules, and could not help but choke on the spot. Prince Shuo this. The woman from Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion was even more embarrassed. She had originally wanted to curry favor with Prince Shuo, but had not expected to kiss up to him in the end. Let's go. Prince Shuo, who had not spoken all this while, took a deep look at the private room, as if he could see Fang Qingshan through the room. He then waved his hand and left with his follower. Send someone to keep an eye on him. Once he leaves Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion, immediately capture him, dead or alive. Although Prince Shuo's expression had not changed, he was a ruthless person. Halfway through, his voice did not change in the slightest as he instructed the follower beside him. That kind of casualness was as if he was saying that the weather today was really good. Yes, please be at ease, Your Highness. A trace of a malevolent smile appeared on the follower's face. Not long after Prince Shuo left, there was another knock on the door to Fang Qingshan's private room. Fang Qingshan immediately frowned. Was there no end to this? When he opened the door, he saw that it was Lu Mei with an apologetic expression. I'm sorry, Senior. I will report the matter of Xiaoyu to the manager and will definitely give you an explanation. Forget it. As long as you don't disturb me again, it's fine. Fang Qingshan waved his hand. After sending Lu Mei away, the room finally quieted down. Dong. After waiting quietly for a while, a bell rang, signaling the start of the auction. A beam of light shot up from the center of the auction house, and a middle-aged man dressed in golden robes appeared. He was fat and smiled before speaking, like the Methriel Buddha, his slightly narrowed eyes emitting a bright light. This person was called Qian Duo and was the manager of Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion, the auctioneer, and had a golden core cultivation. Following this person's appearance, the originally noisy auction house instantly quieted down. Greetings, Taoist guests. Welcome to Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion's autumn auction. Today, I, Qian Duo, will be hosting this auction. I hope that all of you will return with a fruitful harvest. Chapter 193. Today's auction begins now, Qian Duo said after looking at the crowd. As he spoke, he took out a ball of light from his storage space. Inside the ball of light was a bottle. Nobody knew what was inside, but judging from the bottle's chi, it was at the level of a low-tier bejeweled weapon. It was obvious that the treasure inside was no small matter. This is the first treasure. I hope it will be a good start. Qian Duo opened the bottle with a smile. In an instant, a wave of yang qi burst out, bringing with it a strong sense of vitality. Inside the bottle was a liquid that kept flowing. The liquid had 9 different colors, and it burned like a flame. It was like a fountain, and the sound of water splashing could be heard. It was hard to tell whether it was water or fire. Holy water of 9 solar. Even without Qian Duo's introduction, someone already exclaimed. Fang Qingshan did not expect the first item to be holy water of 9 solar. Holy water of 9 solar was something that could only be created by a cultivator from the secret realm of immortality. They had to absorb pure yang qi from the immortal realm using a lot of qi. This item could not only get rid of all filth, evil, demonic, and demonic qi. Most importantly, if it was used to purify a supreme bejeweled weapon, it could be tainted with pure yang energy and become a Dao weapon. Back then, Fang Qingshan relied on the bowl of holy water he took from the 7-leaf demon king to nurture the tree of world. Although the bottle in Qianduo's hand was only 1/10 the size of the bowl, it was still very shocking. In an instant, inside Fang Qingshan's body, the tree of world, the 5 elements, the 5 hell cauldrons, the firmament of blood, and the other treasures all emitted waves of desire. It seems like I don't need to introduce it. That's right, this is holy water of 9 solar. Qian Duo laughed like the Buddha. The starting price is 5 million white yang pills. 6 million, 7 million, 9 million, 10 million. As soon as Qian Duo's voice trailed off, the price of the holy water of 9 solar doubled. Those who were able to come to the Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion auction house were naturally not lacking in wealthy guests. Especially the 9 solar holy water, it was like a jack of all trades. Whether it was used for cultivation, alchemy, or weapon forging, it was an excellent item. Furthermore, this item was rarely seen. After all, this item needed to be refined by an immortal realm expert. Even the direct disciples of the Greater One sect only had 6 solar holy water, not to mention others. Thus, when this item appeared, it naturally attracted the attention of many people. For a moment, the atmosphere of the auction, which had just begun, became lively. 30 million. After the price exceeded 10 million, although the speed of the bidding slowed down, it still rushed to 20 million. At this time, Fang Qingshan opened his mouth and directly raised the price by 10 million. In an instant, the entire auction hall fell silent. All right, guest number 100 has bid 30 million. Is there anyone who wants to bid higher? Qian Duo did not expect that there would be someone as ruthless as Fang Qingshan to directly raise the price by 10 million. However, he was also a veteran of the auction house, so he was only slightly surprised. After all, this was the Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion auction house. The turnover of each auction was calculated in the hundreds of millions. 30 million going once, 30 million going twice. In fact, if Fang Qingshan had not taken care of Mr. Ling Huan this time, he would not be so extravagant. As the divine lord of the divine race, he was the vanguard of the divine race, so his funds were in the hundreds of millions. In addition, Fang Qingshan had the Tree of World, so he could refine 100,000 nascent soul pills every day. Therefore, although the price was high, he did not feel any heartache. 30 million in one. Before Qian Duo could shout for the third time, a voice suddenly sounded from another private room. Fang Qingshan raised an eyebrow and looked toward the source of the voice. It was Prince Shuo and his group who had competed with him for the private room earlier. As though he had sensed Fang Qingshan's gaze, he looked over as well. A cold smile then appeared on his face. 30 million and 2. Haha, if you want to play, I'll play with you. Seeing this, Fang Qingshan also laughed coldly and shouted out his bid. Sure. However, the moment the bid was announced, the entire auction house was in an uproar. If they continued to shout out their bids like this, they would not have to wait for the rest of the auction. Honored guests, each bid cannot be less than 1 million. Qian Duo hurriedly stated a limit when he saw the situation. Since that's the case, then 31 million. A voice sounded from Prince Shuo's private room again. 40 million. Fang Qingshan's expression was cold as he said indifferently, "If you continue to raise the price, then it's yours." 40 million going once, 40 million going twice, 40 million going thrice. This time, Prince Shuo did not cause any more trouble. Following Qian Duo's final gavel, the bottle of 9 solar holy water fell into Fang Qingshan's hands. Although he had spent a little more money, Fang Qingshan did not lose out. After all, whether it was the growth of the world tree or the transformation of the 5 Hell King cauldron and the other treasures and abilities, they were not things that could be measured by money. Money could still be earned, but strength was the foundation of everything. The two could not be mentioned in the same breath. The second auction item, after the dust settled on the first bid, Qian Duo clenched his hand as another ball of light rose into the air. Within the ball of light was a storage ring. With regards to this item, let alone the people in the private room, even the disciples from the various sects were not interested in it. After all, they either had their own spatial dimension or something like 100 treasures pouch. This storage ring did not interest them at all. In the end, it was won by a loose cultivator for 1 million white yang pills. The next few dozen treasures were all low-grade precious tools, flying swords, magical garments, magical treasures, pill furnaces, and 2 medicinal pills. To his surprise, they were the Astral Sect's Magic Convergence Pill and the Cyclic Divine Pill, which could increase one's lifespan by 60 years. Hua Tiandu was most proficient in concocting medicinal pills. These two pills had actually been sold for a price of 300,000 white sun pills. However, Fang Qingshan was completely uninterested in these items. As he quietly watched the people in the square compete with each other, he could not help but sigh in his heart. If he did not possess the all-heavens chessboard, if he did not have the prophet, if he did not have the backing of the Heaven Ascension sect, he would most likely be one of the masses below. After waiting for an hour, another item finally appeared, causing Fang Qingshan to raise his spirits. As Qian Duoduo opened his palm, an extremely dazzling light appeared. The ball of light was like a rising sun, enveloping the entire auction house within it. Upon closer inspection, it looked like a fruit, like the sun, and also like a three-legged golden crow, spreading its wings as if it was about to take flight. Fang Qingshan's eyes shone as he stared at this item. At this moment, the various divine abilities in his body had become restless. There were the 5 elements divine abilities, the pure yang, sword technique, the heavenly evasion, sword technique, and the great slicer technique. Chapter 194. This is the Void Golden Crow Fruit, also known as the Void Pure Yang Fruit. I believe everyone has heard of it before, especially for the Taoist who cultivates fire attribute, space attribute, and pure yang attribute abilities. If he is able to refine it, he will benefit greatly. Furthermore, this item is similar to the 9 solar holy water. It can also purify true qi, causing one's spiritual energy to become even more powerful. I believe I don't need to elaborate on its rarity. The starting bid for this Void Golden Crow Fruit is 500,000 white yang pills. Each bid increment must be no less than 10,000. Because of the precedent set by Fang Qingshan and Prince Shuo, Qian Duoduo would always raise the lowest bid every time. As Qian Duoduo's words fell, it immediately attracted a frenzied bid from the crowd. Fire attribute abilities were fine, but pure yang and space attribute abilities were different. Although they were extremely powerful, it took a lot of time and effort to cultivate. Pure yang abilities could be comprehended through fire attribute abilities, but space attribute abilities could only be comprehended through comprehension and accumulation over time. Therefore, when they saw the Void Golden Crow Fruit, everyone began to generously bid. 700,000, 900,000, 5 million. The bidding price continued to soar. In the short span of a minute, it had risen to 3 million. At this time, the price had stabilized. Although it was still rising, there was evidently not much room left. 4 million. After waiting for a while, when the price had risen to 5 million, Fang Qingshan finally spoke. 5 million. Following Fang Qingshan's bid, the previously silent Imperial Prince Shuo spoke up once more, 5 million. Upon hearing these words, a trace of killing intent flashed in Fang Qingshan's eyes. He had wanted to snatch the private room, but failed, and now he was raising the price. He was simply courting death. He had even killed 2 greater one-sect Golden Core direct disciples. Adding another prince of the Great Xian Empire should not be a big deal. After all, when there were too many lice, there was no need to worry. Not only did Fang Qingshan want to kill Prince Shuo, but Prince Shuo had also sentenced Fang Qingshan to death in his heart. It was one thing to offend him, but on top of that, he also had a huge amount of money on him. Previously, he took out tens of millions of nascent soul pills to buy 9 solar holy water, and now he took out millions to buy Void Golden Crow Fruit. If he didn't take advantage of such a fat sheep, wouldn't he be struck by lightning? Since the other party was already a dead man in his heart, the two of them did not continue to raise the price. This made Qian Duoduo feel a little regretful. The auction house loved this kind of competition the most because in the end, apart from the auction house, the auctioneer was the one who benefited the most. After bidding for the Void Golden Crow Fruit, Fang Qingshan was free again. This was because the following items were all kinds of divine abilities and secret techniques. The items that were able to be auctioned at Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion were naturally of high quality, and there was no lack of great supernatural powers among them. Unfortunately, Fang Qingshan had no lack of mystic arts and secret techniques. Unless it was a peerless divine ability or an ancient secret technique, Fang Qingshan wouldn't be interested in them. However, he was only uninterested in them because he had a high standard. For others, let alone rogue cultivators, even disciples from famous sects would flock to these divine abilities. Even if they didn't cultivate it themselves, they could still contribute it to their sections. As time passed, the atmosphere in the auction house became more and more intense. This was because the closer it was to the end, the higher the quality and the more precious the items would be. Correspondingly, the price to bid for them would be higher. After another half an hour, another treasure that shocked Fang Qingshan appeared. Qian Duo waved his hand, and a huge piece of wood that was as tall as a human appeared on the stage. The wood had an ancient color, and there were rings on it. It was unknown how many rings went deep into the wood. After taking a careful sniff, there was no smell of wood at all. It seemed to be an ancient fossil. This is a mysterious item. Seeing everyone staring curiously at the wood in front of him, Qian Duo smiled and explained, "This item is impervious to weapons, water, and fire. This item is impervious to swords and spears, and is impervious to fire and water. Perhaps it is a fragment of some ancient Tao artifact. If someone can refine it, they might be able to obtain a great bargain. The starting bid is 10,000 white yang pills." Many people scoffed at Qian Duo's bewitchment. If there were such great benefits, wouldn't Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion or the owner of this item enjoy it? However, although many people knew that there was no such thing as a free lunch in the sky, there were many who were greedy. What if they saw a ghost? Only when Fang Qingshan saw this item, although his expression remained calm, his heart pounded violently, and all the blood in his body boiled. A fragment of the world tree. Yes, it was exactly the same as the one he had obtained from 10,000 returning Immortal Island's legacy disciple, Haishan. Although this item couldn't compare to the 9-section staff, it was still many times bigger than the one Fang Qingshan had obtained from Haishan. After absorbing the 9-section staff, Fang Qingshan's sapling had already grown into a small tree. If he devoured this piece of wood, he would probably experience another explosive growth. When that happened, he would not only be able to absorb more spiritual energy from the immortal world. More importantly, he would be able to awaken more of the world tree's legacy. This was equivalent to an immortal king or immortal lord imbuing him with wisdom. At the same time, as the world tree grew, his karmic luck was slowly recovering. This karmic luck was his, and it could speed up the growth of the celestial chessboard, open up more worlds, and make him the son of karmic luck. However, Fang Qingshan didn't bid immediately. Instead, he waited until there were fewer people interested before casually making a bid. After 2 rounds of bidding, the others gradually gave up when they saw that the price was too high. In the end, Fang Qingshan obtained this treasure at a very low price. Fortunately, Imperial Prince Shuo had already stopped bickering with him. Otherwise, he might really have disregarded everything in order to get his hands on this item. When that happened, he would definitely attract the attention of others and cause unnecessary trouble. All right, the autumn auction is coming to an end. After auctioning off a few more strange items, Qian Duo was still a little unsatisfied, but he was more excited than anything else. Next up is the final treasure of this auction. Qian Duo carefully took out a jade bottle. When the crowd saw this, they began to guess what kind of precious elixir it was. The elixir that could be placed at the end of the auction was either a life-saving elixir that could bring the dead back to life, or a cultivation elixir that could help one break through the bottleneck of the cultivation realm. However, no matter which one it was extremely precious. Everyone's attention was instantly drawn to it. Even Fang Qingshan was no exception. Although his main purpose for coming to Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion this time was to obtain a fragment of the world tree, and he had already obtained the 9 solar holy water, the void golden crow fruit, and other treasures, if the final elixir really tempted him, he might as well compete for it. Chapter 195. As the jade bottle was opened, A wave of medicinal chi rose, turning into a golden phoenix that soared into the nine heavens. As for the jade bottle, there was a pill that was spinning around. The medicinal chi of this pill was like a flame, burning slightly. Multicolored light filled the sky, and the red light on the pill seemed to transform into musical notes, emitting a beautiful sound. Nirvana pill. I didn't think that the finale this time would be the Nirvana pill. This is a pill that can help a level 10 divinity transformation cultivator break through to the longevity realm. Everyone present was knowledgeable. Even if they didn't know who it was, they could tell from the exclamations, jealousy, and envy of the people around them. That's right. This was a peerless heaven tier pill. If a level 10 divinity transformation cultivator consumed it, they would have a high chance of breaking through to the longevity realm. Haha, not bad. This is the king of pills, the Nirvana pill. Qian Duo looked at the crowd with a satisfied smile. The starting price is 400 million, and each bid must be no less than 10 million. As soon as he finished, the crowd gasped. 400 million. This was 400 million. When piled up together, it would be as big as a mountain. Fang Qingshan had bought so much 9 solar holy water, and with Prince Shua's bid, he had only spent a few tens of millions. But this rebirth pill actually had a starting price of 400 million. This was close to the price of a low-grade Dao tool. Even Fang Qingshan couldn't help but shiver. Although he robbed Mr. Ling Huan, he had already spent more than half of it to buy the 9 solar holy water. In addition to breaking through to oneness, the golden core, and the world trees pills had long been used up. Looks like I have to take out some things to trade. Fang Qingshan thought to himself. He didn't have enough pills on him, so he could only sell some items. This Nirvana pill was a good item. Fang Qingshan decided to get his hands on it no matter what. It just so happened that he was about to break through to the wind and fire tribulations. 500 million. While he was thinking, the price of the Nirvana pill had already reached 500 million. 400 million was a huge sum, enough to bankrupt a golden core cultivator. Even the golden core experts of the emergent sect, Jialan, Wan Luo, Ling Xiao, and Yao Guang, could only lament their inadequacy as they could not afford it. But don't underestimate the crowd, especially those who have been trapped in a realm for a long time. When they saw the Nirvana pill, it was as if they had grasped the last life-saving straw, and they would bid for it even if they had to go bankrupt. In addition, in the private room, those who had not spoken since the beginning also joined in. 550 million. Right at this moment, Fang Qingshan also joined in. Moreover, he directly increased the bid by 50 million, looking like he was determined to get it. Instantly, the scene became suffocating. Voila voila! Fang Qingshan could sense many powerful spiritual wills sweeping towards him. Oomph. Seeing this, Fang Qingshan snorted coldly. With a thought, he released the 5 elements annihilation needles all over his body. For a moment, there were muffled groans in the private room. Obviously, these people had suffered a great loss. For a moment, Fang Qingshan only felt waves of murderous intent shooting up to the sky. If it was not for the Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion, these people would have rushed over immediately. Regarding this, Fang Qingshan did not care at all. He calmly picked up his teacup and took a sip. 600 million. However, although he suddenly increased the price by 50 million, it clearly did not scare the other people. After a moment of silence, someone in the second private room also directly increased the bid by 50 million. 700 million. As soon as the other person's voice fell, Fang Qingshan's voice sounded unhurriedly. Good heavens, increasing 50 million was not enough, but now he directly increased it by 100 million. Even those rich and imposing people in the private room were silent for a moment. I wonder if this person really has that much money. Is he purposely causing trouble? Just at this moment, Imperial Prince Shua's voice sounded. Haha, then I'll have to wonder if you, the Imperial Prince of the Great Xian Empire, are a good-for-nothing. Fang Qingshan laughed lightly. I don't think anyone has dared to fool the Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion like this. You. Imperial Prince Shua could not help but choke when he heard this. All right, if you want to bid, then bid. If not, then shut up. You're like a crow. What a scandal. Fang Qingshan directly interrupted Imperial Prince Shua's words and reprimanded him like an elder. Imperial Prince Shua's face alternated between green and purple as he heard this. Everyone else had strange expressions on their faces. 800 million. Imperial Prince Shua spat out 2 words coldly. 900 million. Fang Qingshan did not hesitate at all and continued to increase the bid by 100 million. For a moment, the entire venue was shocked into absolute silence. Everyone, including Qian Duo, sucked in a breath of cold air. Although the rebirth pill was good, it was only between 500 million and 600 million. Bidding 900 million had obviously exceeded its value. Winning would be a great loss. Fang Qingshan did not mind this in the slightest. To him, as long as he could increase his strength, he wouldn't mind even if it was a little more, much less 900 million. Without a doubt, the rebirth pill landed in Fang Qingshan's hands in the end. Following the conclusion of the auction of the final item, this auction also came to a complete end. Everyone rose and walked out of the auction hall one after another. Some went to settle the bill, while others directly left. Of course, there were also some who had their eyes on others. Among them, Fang Qingshan had the most people following him. Apart from Imperial Prince Shua, there were many who wanted to rip off fat sheep. A man's wealth was his own ruin. At the end of the day, Fang Qingshan had revealed too much of his wealth this time, causing many to have evil thoughts. However, Fang Qingshan did not mind this in the slightest. As long as there were no bigwigs of the longevity secret realm, no matter how many people from the mystic realm came, these people would not be able to stop him if he wanted to leave. Senior, please come with me. When Fang Qingshan walked out of the private room, he saw Lu Mei waiting outside. She led Fang Qingshan to pay for the treasure. Oh yes, I don't have enough elixirs with me. I would like to sell something to pay for it. Is that possible? Fang Qingshan asked. Of course. Lu Mei nodded affirmatively. He followed Lu Mei to a secret room after a few turns. He did not expect to be greeted by Qian Duo. I heard that the Taoist is going to sell something as collateral. I wonder what it is. After some small talk, Qian Duo went straight to the point. How much do you think this is worth? Fang Qingshan did not hesitate at all. He waved his hand and took out Shui Sanqiang. He had already planned to sell this item. Firstly, it was indeed not enough. Secondly, it was of little value to him. He cultivated sword skills and had the pure Yang flying sword. Now he had the serpent slaying sword, which were all Dao weapons. Therefore, this treasure had not been of much use to him. Today, he could use it to pay for it. This is Shui Sanqiang. Qian Duo was shocked to see this Dharma treasure. I remember that this treasure seems to be in the hands of Fang Qingshan. Fang Dao is from the emergent sect. I am Fang Qingshan. Although Qian Duo did not finish his sentence, the meaning was clear. Fang Qingshan was not surprised. He had never thought of hiding the fact that he had taken out Shui Sanqiang. Chapter 196. So it's Fang Daoist. I'm sorry to have disrespected you. Although he had already guessed that the person in front of him might be Fang Qingshan, Qian Duo could not help but be surprised to hear him admit it. After not flying for 3 years, he soared to the sky. After not crying for 3 years, he shocked the world with a single brilliant feat. No one in the Tai Yuan immortal abode knew who Fang Qingshan was. Even though he and Fang Qingxue had joined forces to kill the demon god's doppelganger, everyone only thought that it was Fang Qingxue's credit. As for killing the island lord in the sinkhole, no one cared about a mere stellar energy realm cultivator. However, it was quite surprising that the 7-leaf demon lord died in the hands of Fang Qingshan. Of course, what surprised people was not how powerful the 7-leaf demon lord was, but that he was only at the consolidation realm. It was only because he had the support of a longevity giant, the demon god Jiuyin. What really made Fang Qingshan study hard for 10 years and become famous overnight was the battle in front of the Tai Yuan Immortal Manor not long ago. Reaching the Golden Core realm With 81 magical powers, he had the qualifications to become an immortal. With a golden core realm cultivation and a high-grade killing Dao weapon, he was able to fight evenly with Hua Tiandu, who was at the fate-changing realm. It should be known that Hua Tiandu was not an ordinary person. He was not only the successor of Panwu Daozu, but also the first successor disciple of the emergent sect. He was ranked in the top 3 of the longevity list and was only one step away from the longevity giant. He could be said to be a genius among geniuses. And Fang Qingshan was able to fight against such a genius. How could the talent and combat power that he showed not shock the world? This was also why, even if they knew that Fang Qingshan had killed 2 golden core successor disciples of the Greater One sect, it was very troublesome, but even Rui Zi did not dare to easily stand on the opposite side of him. Of course, if that was all, it would be fine. What really made Qian Duoduo feel inconceivable was that Fang Qingshan had just killed 2 golden core successor disciples of the Greater One sect, and now he actually appeared in the Great Qian Empire. How courageous and insightful he was. You're too kind, Taoist. Let's see how much blood firmament is worth. Fang Qingshan didn't have much of a reaction to Qian Duoduo's reaction. Whether it was a draw with Hua Tiandu or the trouble of the Greater One sect, he didn't care. His goal had never been to become a single person, but to become a sage or immortal. There was nothing to be happy about, even if he had fought Hua Tiandu to a draw. As for the Greater One sect, although it was a behemoth to him, he had the emergent sect behind him and the all-heaven chessboard in his hand. Therefore, the trouble of the Greater One sect was not that troublesome. Okay. Hearing Fang Qingshan mention it, Qian Duoduo finally remembered today's business. This firmament blood is a peerless, bejeweled weapon. It even has a trace of spirituality and is only a step away from becoming a Dao weapon. How about 300 million? All right. Fang Qingshan knew that Qian Duoduo had offered the highest price. After all, Fang Han had only spent nearly 300 million on a pure yang treasure of the Brahman Light ship. He knew that Qian Duoduo wanted to befriend him, and Fang Qingshan naturally wouldn't be stupid enough to refuse. After handing over the firmament blood, Fang Qingshan took out the elixir card that he had obtained from Mr. Ling Huan and exchanged with him in the sect. This elixir card was actually a different kind of bank card. It was also a hard currency. On each card, there was a 100 million character that looked like dragons and snakes dancing in the air. On the other side, there were the 2 words Hongjun Tiandao printed. It was issued by Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion. If he bought the Nirvana elixir, he would really be free. Sure enough, I'm still too poor. Walking out of Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion, Fang Qingshan couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Participating in an auction had made him embarrassingly short of money. The idea that had surfaced in his mind when he first entered the Great Qian Empire floated to his mind again. However, to establish such a market, not only would it require time and energy to manage, but it would also require great strength to protect it. Most importantly, he would probably have to travel through the heavens and realms all year round, so he wouldn't be able to stay in one place for long periods of time. It would be great if there was a movable treasure that could connect to the heavens and realms as a market. Fang Qingshan thought to himself, it seems like there really is such a thing. Fang Qingshan's eyes flashed as he suddenly recalled that there seemed to be such a treasure in the world of the martial tomb. But immediately after, Fang Qingshan let out a bitter laugh. The world of the martial tomb seemed to be even more powerful than the world of desolation. How much luck would it take to open such a world? I wonder which world will be open this time. Journey to the West? Investiture of Gods? The world of desolation? Thinking of this, Fang Qingshan couldn't help but recall that he had unified the 3 kingdoms and seized the Great Han Dynasty's Dragon Pearl of Luck for 400 years. He had gathered so much luck, but this time he still hadn't opened a world. He couldn't help but secretly speculate which world would be opened. Forget it. There will always be a way when the car reaches the mountain, and the bridge will naturally be straight. I'll know which world to open when the time comes. Since I've already obtained a fragment of the world tree, it's time for me to get to this place. Thinking of this, Fang Qingshan didn't hesitate. After leaving Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion, he directly flew outside the Great Xian Empire. After all, he had just used Shui Sangqiong as collateral. Although the Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion had a good reputation, this was after all the territory of the Greater One sect, and there were spies everywhere. If the Greater One sect knew that he had come here, it would be troublesome to leave. You're finally out. I like to see how you can escape from the palm of my hand. In a pavilion not far from the Heaven Dao Pavilion, a feminine youth was holding a cup of fragrant tea. The corners of his mouth suddenly curled into a cold smile. Who else could it be but Prince Shua? Elder, go do it. Prince Shua put down his teacup, and a cold light flashed in his eyes as he said indifferently, "Yes." An indifferent voice responded in the darkness. Following that, the space in the room rippled, and his figure gradually disappeared into the air. "That kid has left the city. Let's go. Quickly follow him. What a big fat sheep. Maybe we can get a share of the soup. Quick hands get, slow hands get nothing. Let's go. If we're late, there won't even be dregs left." At the same time, the people who had their eyes on Fang Qingshan all began to move. After all, Fang Qingshan had spent 1 billion elixirs this time. Not to mention ordinary people, even large sects would feel the pinch if they took out so many elixirs at once. Humans die for wealth, and birds die for food. Of course, there were also people who were timid or wise who did not show their wealth. Since Fang Qingshan dared to take out so many elixirs, he was either a fool or he had something to rely on. Those who were able to cultivate to the secret realm of divine power were not low in intelligence. When the time came, they might go for wool and come home shorn. There are indeed people who don't know what's good for them. With so many people following him, how could Fang Qingshan not sense it? However, he didn't mind it at all. If they wanted to rob him, why wouldn't he want to accumulate some wealth? When the time came, it would depend on who had the better means. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.